300-yard games. And that could signal an SEC Eastern title for Steve Spurrier's Gators. But Sparky Woods' Gamecocks have been riding a 4-game winning streak. Freshman Steve Tannehill has been at the controls for all 4. But last week it was the D that beat Louisiana Tech. Next, the Gamecocks and Gators.
Jefferson Pilot Sports presents the best in regional college football. The Southeastern Conference. Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. Stability is just one of our benefits. And by new Colders 29 and 29 Light. Cold aged at 29 degrees to seal in smoothness.
Better than 80,000 on hand today. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Florida Field in Gainesville, the home of the Gators, as today the Gamecocks of South Carolina come visiting. I'm Bob Carpenter. Good afternoon. Good morning to some of you. And a combined 9 in a row for these two teams. 5 of them by Florida. They've won their last 17 right here on this field. The Gators have the Eastern Division of the SEC in their grasp. If they win out their final 2 conference games, there's nothing Georgia and Tennessee can do. Bulldogs are at Auburn today. Tennessee a non-conference game at Memphis State, but they're still alive. Well, we'll call on the old defensive back one more time, Tim Foley. Tim, your assignment today, maybe not to stop, but maybe to contain Shane Matthews. How are you going to do it?
Well, you know, not too many people have been successful in doing that. Containing Shane Matthews is like trying to get the government to stay within the budget. It just isn't going to happen. Now, Tennessee and Mississippi State slowed down this fun and gun and made it look like the dead and buried for a while, but I think most of that was due to the fact that Eric Rhett was not in there, and Eric Rhett is their counterpunch. When they get the running game going, it's not a matter of stopping them. You just hope you can outscore them.
And with good protection lately, Matthews has completed 63% of his passes the last month. Steve Spurrier, though, concerned about his pass defense, as today he faces the freshman Steve Tannehill and these Gamecocks.
Well, the secondary for the Florida is strong. They had a little problem up front with injuries, but Tannehill has got to keep the enthusiasm and the exuberance that he has kind of spread through this team going. You know, he's kind of the Giorgio Armani of the SEC. You know, he's pretty fancy looking, and he needs to have the running game going to open up passing lanes for him. Louisiana Tech shut down the run, and as a result, he completed 7 of 20 against them. They have to run the ball. Bennett has to play well, and DeBoer has to play well today.
Couple of oddities. South Carolina, 5 first downs, 118 total yards in that game. They still win. Florida is 6-2. They're only outscoring their opponents 23-21 per game. More coming up from Gainesville.
One of the biggest fans of the Southeastern Conference is right here, Ruby Tuesday Restaurants. And as its founder, I can't think of a better way to support SEC sports and academics than by joining the conference as an official corporate sponsor. And it's a great way to cheer on an organization started over 50 years ago. So for all excitement in sports, let's turn to the Southeastern Conference and turn to Ruby Tuesday when you're ready to relax.
Gorgeous day in Gainesville, Florida. This Florida football team has been unbelievable on this field the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, Bob Kessling down on the sidelines, some of these seniors have never lost a football game here.
And that's why, Bob, this is a very special senior day. All the parents of the senior players, 18 of them, are on the field. And these parents have seen their sons perform extremely well on Florida Field. In fact, they have not lost a game here in 3 years. The winning streak is now 17-0. The seniors have been called out. One of the special ones, Bill Matthews, of course, the father of Shane Matthews. He coached his Pascagoula, Mississippi high school team last night. They lost in the playoffs, but now he drove all night to get here, and now he's ready to root his son on. Shane Matthews, the final game at Florida Field. They take on South Carolina. The last time these teams played here was 1964. The Gators won that game 37-0, quarterbacked by a guy by the name of Steve Spurrier. And so South Carolina tried to end the streak and also win their first game ever here in Gainesville.
This is a series that goes all the way back to 1911. My mic is This is a series that goes all the way back to 1911 with a 6-6 tie in Columbia. The kickoff after a word from your local stations. Welcome back to Gainesville, Florida. The Gators and the Gamecocks just on the field. Of course, this ball game makes big news in the SEC because if Florida wins and then wins at Vanderbilt next week, they have the Eastern Division title all their own. But Bob Kessling, of course, is our man out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and another team in that Eastern Division has undergone a lot of turmoil this week. And Bob Kessling, what is the latest on the Johnny Majors situation?
Last night, Coach Majors held a press conference in Memphis and said that's where the Volunteers are playing Memphis State today. He said effective of December 31st, he'll no longer be the coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. Philip Fulmer will take over as the head coach starting December the 31st. Majors said he will coach the Volunteers the rest of the season, and so Fulmer knows he's the man to replace him. It was kind of an unusual week in Knoxville, as you might anticipate. The story really broke on Tuesday. The university will buy out the remaining 2 years of his contract, and Philip Fulmer takes over in December.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. There's a look at the series record between these two. Florida has never lost to the Gamecocks here. As we mentioned earlier, it's a series that goes way back to 1911. By Florida standards, a cool afternoon, but it's gorgeous for our purposes. 60 degrees. The wind is a factor. It'll be blowing in the face of the Gamecocks in the first half. Florida won the toss. They want the football. They will receive. And the Gamecock kickoff man will be sophomore Marty Simpson. These are young football teams. Florida with the 11. South Carolina with 10. They are just about the youngest. Larry Kennedy is back for the kickoff, and he has it 2 yards deep, fumbles it out. Now he has to run it out. And he will get out to maybe the 17 or 18-yard line. Sparky Wood said yesterday one thing he didn't want his football team to do was drop kickoffs. They did it at Alabama when they were a bit tight a month ago. And then Florida comes right out and drops one. Shane Matthews leads them out. He's completing 59% of his passes on the season, 63% over the last couple of weeks.
He's been tough, and they've got to get pressure on him. One of the things about the Florida defense is they've had to replace 4 offensive linemen. 4 graduated last year, and they had a lot of inexperience and youth up there. 2 true freshmen starting at tackle. South Carolina is going to have to try to take advantage of that.
They not only lost 4 linemen, 2 of them were All-Americans. Single back set for the Gators on first down as Matthews drops and looks left. And he's got it out to the left side for Trey Everett. Everett, a senior out of Washington, D.C. He doesn't always start. Normally he backs up Harrison Houston. There's the other skill people. Eric Redd is outstanding. He has 12 100-yard games. Kelvin Randolph doesn't carry the ball much. He's the fullback. Green. Dean Golden back in there, suspended earlier in the year. Reggie Green and Jason Odom, high school All-Americans just a year ago out of Bradenton and Bartow, Florida, respectively. And a running play for Eric Redd gets the ball out to about the 33-yard line. Turnipseed, Bembry, and Sullivan, the front 3 for the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Then they have outside backers Ernest Dixon, Lawrence Mitchell starting in the place of Keith Franklin, who's injured. Brown and Campbell, their regular guys in the middle. Frank Adams, a nominee for SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Sophomores Watkins and Green and Rocky Clay on the corner. 4 wide receivers on third down. Matthews dumps it straight ahead, and it'll be close to a first down, but it appears to be short as Eric Rett caught the football and Eric Brown was all over it.
Florida comes with 4 wide receivers trying to spread out that South Carolina defense. Good pass protection. Matthews slides a little bit to his left and just trying to dump it off to Rett. Rett trying to beat the tackle of Eric Brown. A good job by Brown. Now it's 3rd and 1.
They will be less than a yard short, and jumping across was Ernest Dixon, the outside linebacker, number 40, but it appears he was drawn off sides, and that'll take a 3rd and 1.
Snap movement by the offensive line. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
And make it a 3rd and 6.
Florida had a lot of problems with early movement, illegal procedure in the first 3 or 4 games of the year. They've settled down a little bit, and And maybe there's fewer play changes going on, but most probably these linemen are now just getting used to Matthews' cadence.
Ryan Taylor, who backs up Odom at right tackle, the man who drew Dixon off sides. Matthews throwing right side. It's incomplete. Good coverage out there by Rocky Clay of the Gamecocks. It was Willie Jackson, the intended receiver. Clay, a senior out of Bristol, Tennessee. He's the elder statesman of that South Carolina secondary.
He played for Sparky Woods at Appalachian State as a running back for 2 years, then came over, sat out a year, and this is his second year as a defensive back for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Terrell Harris, excuse me, Tim, the return man. Shane Edge has a big win behind him. His longest of the year, 56. This one kind of a wobbly spiral to the far sideline. And Florida really should have come out of that kick with much better defensive field position. Edge is upset with himself. Gamecocks will take over at their own 32.5-yard line. Steve Tannehill out of Altoona, PA, the 6'5", 200 freshman. He's completing 48% of his passes, unbeaten as a starter. Some of his passes for touchdowns this year haven't been that pretty, but he has gotten the job done.
Well, he's the lead singer and the quarterback for the South Carolina Gamecocks.
They come out of the eye, and the pitch is to the deep man. That was Brandon Bennett. Bennett averaging 4 yards a carry. With Tannehill back there, Rob DeBoer, a good workhorse. Toby Cates and Asim Penny, the wide receivers, and Boomer Foster is the tight end. Up front, Vincent Dickens is a sophomore. They lost at right tackle senior Kevin Rosencrans out for the year with a knee surgery. And so Corey Lucci takes over on that side. 2nd down and 5. They'll pitch it again to Bennett. And he was tripped up by Larry Kennedy, the left corner, who knifed in and got a good angle on the ball carrier. It's Carter, Gunner, McMillan, and Church. They've undergone a lot of changes up front, the Gators have, shifting people around. They've got a couple of good inside linebackers. Carlton Miles is the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. The bandit back you saw was Hanks. And then the corners with the free safety, Kennedy, Spear, flanking White. On 3rd down, second effort, maybe even more, getting the ball over the 45-yard line, and Brandon Bennett again. They thought they had him stopped short, but he was not knocked off his feet.
And he's looked tough every time we've seen him. Against Kentucky, against Tennessee, Bennett has been strong. Last week, Louisiana Tech kind of shut him down, but that's a #2 defense in the nation. Just a great effort here. Robinson gives him a good lick, and Robinson, a very sure tackler. Bennett breaks the tackle and gets a 1st down.
Such an important first drive for South Carolina to keep that football. They will stay on the ground. Bennett, first man to hit him was Henry McMillan, the right tackle. After he slowed him, Ben Hanks, the bandit back, finished him off.
Let's watch the co-captain of this defense, Carlton Miles from Daytona Beach. Carlton Miles, 22 tackles last week, and he just turned into a real leader. Not a very vocal guy, but just leads through example, and when he talks, everybody keeps quiet.
4 straight games he has, double figures in tackles. 22 tackles a week ago. What a total. 2nd down and 9. Tannehill's first pass out to the left side. It's caught for a 1st down near the 40-yard line. Circling out of that backfield was Brandon Bennett. Bennett has caught some passes this year. That's his team leading 17th of the season. Their backs have caught more passes than their wide receivers have.
Well, last week their wide receivers had a little trouble finding a handle on the football. 6 or 7 drop balls, and that attributed to Tannehill 7 for 20. But he puts it on the money. He takes his time. They give him time to throw the ball, and he delivers it on target to Bennett.
1st down, nose of the ball at the 40. First man through, and that is Rob DeBoer. DeBoer, a junior out of Omaha. He goes 5'10", 205. He's really a workhorse. There's Carlton Miles right in the middle of it again.
Ron Zook, who's a defensive coordinator at Florida, has had his hands full, along with Jerry Anderson, the defensive line coach. They've lost 4 or 5 defensive linemen. They'd already graduated Culpepper and McCoy from last year, so they've really had to slide folks around.
And 2nd down and 7, trying to slide outside was Terry Wilburn. Couldn't do it. Again, up from the left corner, Larry Kennedy forced the play. And then the banded back. Ben Hanks helped out all of his teammates. This Florida team giving up 125 yards a game on the ground, almost 200 through the air. 2nd worst in the SEC. That's the area Steve Spurrier is concerned about. Southern Miss ran better than Garrison Hurst did on them. 3rd and 7. Tannehill flushed out on the run, throws it ahead. He's got a first down to Matthew Campbell, his tight end. Campbell's 7th catch of the year. One of the things we saw a couple of weeks ago, Tim, when we visited Columbia, was that South Carolina started using those tight ends a little more.
Yes, they have. Here you see Tannehill hesitate. He's looking for Stacy Robinson. Good coverage by Florida. Now the big guy moves out of there and finds Campbell, who has worked his way free across the field.
Speaking of the field, down the field, the Gamecocks have gone to the 23-yard line. And we've got a flag on the play as Brandon Bennett was the ball carrier. Monty Groh came up from Gator back to make the stop. There's Monty Groh, the senior out of Inverness.
Monty was a backup to Will White for a couple of years, and then they moved him to Gator back.
Against the defense, tacked on to the end of the run. It's still 1st down.
Little unintentional face mask at the end of the play.
There you see Steve Spurrier, undefeated here at the Swamp.
He's concerned about this first drive. This really has a chance to set a tempo for the ball game for South Carolina. We're already almost 6 minutes in, and Florida has barely had the football. Here they come blitzing. Tannehill tackled as he hands off, and I believe it was Carlton Miles getting the quarterback and tripping up the ball carrier. What a play that was by number 31.
Most defenses, when you have a drive like this going on against you and you get down on the 20-yard line, they're going to come after you. Watch Miles. He times this perfectly. He beats the block. Nobody picks him up. They were going to try to trap him, but it wasn't. He was across the line of scrimmage and gone before the lineman had a chance to get there.
Tannehill's lucky he didn't hand it off to Miles. 2nd down and 8. Tannehill up top, left corner, and it's too long. Intended for Toby Cates. Del Spear on the coverage from right cornerback. Spear starting his 21st consecutive game. And it'll be 3rd down and 8.
Spear is a teammate of Cedric Bembry, who's the nose guard for South Carolina. They're both out of Miami, Carroll City High School. He had a brother that played here, finished his career in 1990. James Spear was an outside linebacker.
3rd down and 8. A fake pitch, and then the give to the inside man. Not nearly enough, as Rob DeBoer will be stopped a good 5 yards short of the first down. Henry McMillan from right tackle starting the stop, number 60. He's just a sophomore out of Folkestone, Georgia. 6'3", 286.
Well, not only did they not get the first down, the ball went from the middle of the field to the right hash mark. So it really shut down the angle here for Marty Simpson.
A 36-yarder. He has good range. His longest on the year is 50. He gets a foot into it and hits it perfectly. And with just about half of the first quarter gone, South Carolina gets on the scoreboard. They lead it 3-0 over Florida. Gator possession coming up. Well, for the Gamecocks and their fans, the only thing better would have been a long drive and a touchdown. They got a long drive and a field goal to take the 3-0 lead. And we've only got 7:44 to go first quarter. They ate up better than 5.5 minutes. Brandon Bennett had 5 carries for 11 yards on that drive. They grounded out and got the 3.
The great thing about running the football against Florida is that the clock keeps running. You don't want the ball in Shane Matthews' hands.
This is Harrison Houston on the kickoff return. He'll angle out to the left side, trying to get outside of the 25, and he was pulled down there by Ronnie Smith, the linebacker, playing on special teams number 50. So the Florida offense goes back to work. Gators averaging 116 yards on the ground, 280 through the air.
Shane Matthews, the most prolific passer in Florida football history, holds 28 school records. Had a fantastic career here. Obviously a very talented young man who was fortunate enough to be here when Steve Spurrier arrived.
3 wide receivers with a single back circling out. Ball is out to the near side, and it is caught by Willie Jackson, who is very dangerous once he gets it. But Tony Watkins didn't give him much room.
A great play by Watkins. 2 receivers out in front, 2 linemen coming to help. A very difficult play to stop. The 2 receivers looking for somebody to block. You see the lineman. Actually, it's Rhett trying to get out into it, but Watkins fights off the receiver and makes a play. You can't do it any better than that. Great job by Watkins, who had a couple of interceptions last week.
Actually lost a yard on the play, did the Gators. Matthews straight ahead, and that one is caught by Eric Rhett on a short pattern out to about the 33-yard line. That'll leave them with a 3rd down and 5 coming up after a gain of 6.
On this play, Harrison Houston is running a stop and go on Frank Adams. Matthews looking all the way to Eric Rhett, trying to pick off a few yards, but the poker games are starting to develop on the outside. Receivers feeling out defensive backs, reporting back to Matthews as to what they think they can get.
3rd down play. Matthews straight ahead, and out there around the 40-yard line, the ball was initially caught. Forward progress is the order of the day on this one. Eric Brown stopping Willie Jackson, but he was beyond the marker when he was hit.
Catch by Jackson that time. Matthews decked by Troy Duke after the release. Going to try to get some pressure. You see Duke working there against Dean Golden. Good job by Jackson. Feeling that 1st down yardage, picks it up.
3 wide receivers all split out to the far side. Rhett the lone back, and a great play behind the line of scrimmage, wrapping him up, Ernest Dixon. He, of course, is the guy who ran the touchdown interception in last week after Mike Washington picked it off and pitched it to Dixon to beat Louisiana Tech. And he comes up big on this play.
And he also caused a fumble late in the Vandy game, knocked the ball loose, and preserved a victory against Vanderbilt. A big play guy on defense. Ernest Dixon comes around the corner, makes a play.
2nd down and 10. Matthews setting up the screen. Ahead to Rhett, and he is pulled down from behind. Troy Duke catching up with him.
Great play by Duke. You know, that's one guy you don't plan on. Somebody's got to rush the passer. You think you're going to lose those linemen. Once you get it over the top, you think you're clear. Watch number 89. Look at him not hesitate for a second, turn and sprint back there. Great effort by Duke, getting Rhett before he had a chance to get on track.
No backs, 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 6. Matthews has to run out to his left. He lofts it up over the top, and it is too tall on the far sideline, intended for Willie Jackson. And South Carolina holds on 3rd down.
Great job and good pressure up the middle by South Carolina. Florida gets away with a hold here. Let's see if you can see that man coming around. You see Ernest Dixon, watch him get grabbed. Boom, gets ripped down. Matthews slides out of there, trying to get the 1st down. Defense by South Carolina early on.
Shane Edge, another chance to kick with that breeze behind him. Terrell Harris is back at his 15. Edge didn't hit that one very well either. Harris had to come 10 yards ahead. Then we've got a fumble on the play on the far sideline. Looked like the ball squirted out of bounds. In on the play, Myrick Anderson for the Gators. And South Carolina takes over. 4:34 to go. 1st quarter. Gamecocks lead by 3. We're back after a word from your local stations. JP Sports just playing at the Swamp. It's been tough for visiting teams, but South Carolina doesn't look intimidated. They lead 3-0 here in the 1st quarter, and they get good yardage on 1st down with Brandon Bennett carrying the load. How about the swamp? I guess a variation on home sweet home. Gators since '81 have only lost 9 times here. They've hammered non-conference opponents and very, very good in conference play.
And Spurrier is 17-0, and for the first time last week against Southern Mississippi in the 4th quarter, they were behind. First time ever behind, well, not ever, since Spurrier's been here in the 4th quarter in the swamp.
2nd down and 4. A lot of things Tannehill and the Gamecocks can do here. They will throw it out to the right flat. It's caught by Asim Penny. And all over him is Larry Kennedy with his 3rd tackle of the day already.
Good job by Tannehill. Gets into the right play. It's a blitz. They go to the hitch. And a great defensive play by Larry Kennedy. This youngster won the starting job last year in the 2nd game, and he is a freshman All-American. Perfect. Wrapped it up well. Good call by the quarterback. Delivered it on time to that man right there, Asim Penny. But then Larry Kennedy snuffed out the success of that play.
They did get a 1st down on short yardage. They're out at the 42-yard line. Tannehill will give it to his deep back, and again, very good yardage on 1st down for Brandon Bennett. Tripped up by Ed Robinson as he crossed the line of scrimmage, but Bennett, a 6-foot, 198-pound sophomore, accelerated quickly, and he stumbled ahead for good yardage.
This is a great read by Bennett. You see, number 76, Rivens, he's looking for somebody to trap. Meanwhile, Brandon Bennett, great vision by the running back, sees it back inside and cuts behind the block of Kenny Farrell.
Boy, you love to be in 2nd and 2 when you're playing at Florida. Bennett again. Across midfield. He had to get just short of the 48-yard line for the 1st down. Monty Groh tripped him up. And it looks like they'll measure him with plenty to spare, and the Gamecocks will move the chains again.
As you mentioned, this is an offense that got 118 yards last week, 5 first downs. Actually, Louisiana Tech was penalized 136 yards. That's more yards than they gave up to the South Carolina offense. But they got enough points to win it.
1st down at the 47. And the pitch to Bennett. He wants to throw.
It's there.
It is open, but he overthrows his man just a bit. Don Chaney. Now, all he had to do was throw it up in the air. Chaney is 6'6", but Bennett threw a hard line drive at him, and Chaney could not make the adjustment.
Hey, that's a number 33, Jack. I mean, Robert, he isn't a quarterback. This is why. He's wide open. Oh, my God. Oh, my. Nobody's close. And he threw it behind him. And even the long Don Chaney from Homestead, Florida, couldn't get to it. But that'll slow down the secondary support of Florida. That's 7 points that got away.
Great call by Sparky Woods. It came within inches of a touchdown. Bennett 0 for 2 throwing this year, by the way. And then a quick little hitch off the hands of Boomer Foster, the tight end. That'll set up a 3rd and long. Boomer Foster is out of Jonesboro, Georgia. You know, South Carolina already has 6 first downs, and they're in the 80s on total offense. They might surpass last week's total before the 1st quarter ends here. I don't think I've ever heard of a team getting 5 first downs and winning a football game.
Well, the defense, you got a punt return, a kickoff return for a touchdown, and the defense scored once.
3rd down. Tannehill, plenty of time. Ball was tipped, caught by a linesman, and pulled down. It was Antoine Rivens on the catch.
Cut it loose, Antoine.
Well, I guess should we check the stats and see if that's his first catch of the year for the right guard?
Watch this vertical leap. Watch him go up in the air for this one. Tannehill's got to start looking around a little bit. As he avoids the rush, he's too locked in. You take that long looking in one spot, it's going to be tough for you. Ellis Johnson knocks it up in the air, and then Antoine Rivens, his first reception of his career.
Fake punt. To the up man they go, but they will be short. Looked like Cedric Surratt, who normally plays in the defensive backfield. He backs up Tony Watkins at strong safety. And again, in on the play, 61, Ellis Johnson. So a lot of razzle-dazzle by Sparky Woods here. He came within inches of a running back pass for a touchdown, and this one fell a couple of yards short. Gators will take over outside their own 40-yard line, trailing 3-0 when we come back to Gainesville. South Carolina Gamecocks not in the jaws of the Gators yet, but they have razzle-dazzled their way to a 3-0 lead, and Cedric Surratt was the carrier on this fake punt.
A direct snap to Surratt, tries to find it up the middle. Rob DeBoer was successful on a play just like that, ran for 44 yards, and as you pointed out, Sparky Woods is putting all his cards on the table. He's not going to leave anything that they've worked on in the bag this afternoon. He's got nothing to lose here.
He keeps this up, we'll have to nickname him Inspector Gadget for this one today. He has pulled out 2 big gadgets, and neither of them worked. One was very close. Gators with the football, 1:30 to go, first quarter. They're in the eye. One of the few times we've seen 2 backs today, and he gives it to the deep man, Eric Rhett, who has good room. First down outside, and he's well across midfield, down to the 42 of South Carolina. This is where Sparky could get second-guessed by some people, because he gave up the potential of putting Florida deep in their own territory by faking the punt. And now on the first down, Florida is in Gamecock territory.
Well, whenever those things don't work, you get second-guessed. It's good to see Eric Rhett healthy again. He's been gimpy since first quarter of the Tennessee game, and he is the counterpunch in the fun and gun.
First down at the 42. Rhett again. And off the right side after a nice block from Kelvin Randolph, his fullback. They'll move the ball ahead and have a second down play coming up. You know, one guy we hardly ever talk about is the fullback in the Florida attack. Kelvin Randolph plays ahead of Eric Rhett. Watch number 30 block for the deep back.
Kelvin Randolph, he has 1 rush for 1 yard in 92.
We just had to mention him sometime during the game today. He's out there working his tail off. Play action, and there he is receiving a pass down to the 32-yard line. Now Kelvin Randolph has now caught 9 balls on the year, but never for much yardage. His longest 13 against Tennessee, but that'll be 9 catches and a first down. Kelvin Randolph out of Tallahassee, Leon High School. He was an honorable mention All-American defensive back over there in Seminole territory.
Rich McGeorge, the line coach at Florida, had a total rebuilding job to do up front. Only Jim Watson came back as a starter, and they lost Ishmael and Dixon and White, Rowell.
Final 10 seconds of the first quarter. Matthews dropping. Left side, man was open, but it was too far for Jack Jackson. That'll stop the clock with 6 seconds to go before they change ends. And Tim Foley, the significant thing about this was in the first quarter, unless they punch it in here on their final play, Florida didn't do much from a field position standpoint with that good breeze behind its back.
No, they didn't. And Rich McGeorge, you see him there, the offensive line coach, was a tight end for the Green Bay Packers. We both loved playing against each other because we both thought the guy we were playing against was the only person they were faster than in the whole NFL.
Second down. Matthews hit as he releases. It's complete. And down inside the 10-yard line for Aubrey Hill. Hill, a sophomore out of Carroll City High School down in Miami. You know, they've thrown passes this year to 17 different receivers. So we never know who's going to catch it. First and goal for the Gators. Second quarter coming up when we come back. SEC football is brought to you in part by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be. First and goal for the Gators at the South Carolina 9. First play of the second quarter. Palmer in motion. He's got the ball and he will throw it. And Shane Matthews, the intended receiver. That was Sorolla Palmer, a freshman wide receiver out of Lacombe, Louisiana, who came in for that one play. Steve Spurrier says, hey, Sparky, yeah. I've got a few of those in my playbook, too.
Watch this, Sparky. Great job by South Carolina on defense because nobody's usually responsible for the quarterback, but a couple of folks sitting at home, that didn't get in there at all.
Number 7 right there is Danny Werfel, a young quarterback. They're redshirted. Could be a future star here at Florida. An All-American out of Fort Walton Beach. 2nd and goal from the 9. Matthews quickly complete inside the 5, and getting away trying to score is Florida's Trey Everett. It took a bunch of Gamecocks to get him down. Sparky Woods was very concerned about his team tackling these quick Florida receivers today, and it took a few of them to get this guy down.
Defensively, you have to get at different levels down here around the goal line, or the offense is just going to pick you. Green can't hang on. Great hustle. Rocky Clay back up, tries to grab the ball. Trey Everett fighting and struggling to get that 5'9" frame to pay dirt.
3rd and goal from the 3. Everett, the motion man. Matthews looking to throw. Left side, too tall. Good coverage by the Gamecocks. Right there was Rocky Clay. He was all over Willie Jackson.
Good job. Jackson lined up a lot closer to the tackle to try to give himself some more room to run to the outside. But right before the snap, Clay shifted to the outside and jammed Jackson.
And this won't be an automatic kick either. It's only a 20-yarder. And Bart Edmiston, a freshman out of Pensacola, is way over on that far hash mark. His holder is Shane Edge. The snapper is Harold Monk. He hooks it too much. From that close in, that is a severe angle. About where you would kick an extra point from, but way over toward the far side of the field. Gators come away empty. 1 minute into the 2nd quarter. 1 minute into the 2nd quarter. Florida has missed a game-tying field goal. A severe knuckleball hooked by Edmiston. Not even close.
Shot, base hit.
Gamecocks come out with a man in the wing position, single setback, and it'll be Tannehill throwing out to the right side. Pass is completed out there to Leroy Jeter. We have a flag at the end of the play. Leroy Jeter, a senior who backs up DeBoer and Wilburn at running back.
Well, Carlton, next year you can do this because the guy can get up and run. But so far in this league, when they're kneeling, you got to leave them alone. We're in the supplicating position there.
He did try to get up, but
Right,
that's still, he's down. Once he's kneeling down, he's praying that nobody will hit him. First down all the way out at the 40-yard line all of a sudden. Remember, a few moments ago, Florida was 1st and goal at South Carolina's 9. After not scoring, it's now the Gamecocks in good shape. Wilburn trying to get outside. He made a pretty nifty move to get away from Del Spear.
That was slick, wasn't it?
Terry Wilburn, a 5'10", 206 sophomore out of Spartanburg. He was an honorable mention All-American quarterback there at Dorman High School. Was a state 100-meter champ. We saw him fly on those Volunteers a couple of times 2 weeks ago.
Maybe they'll let him throw that halfback pass the next time.
2nd down and 7. Nothing there for Wilburn this time as the Gators flooded through. Monty Groh came across from free safety to help out. Gator back, actually.
And Ed Robinson scraped, didn't permit that thing to get outside. That's what they did so well against Georgia. They didn't let Hurst get it outside. Garrison Hurst all year long has either stuck it up the middle in a hurry and just went straight north-south, or he's drawn the defense in and then sprinted to the corner and beat everybody to the end zone. And Florida just played extremely well defensively against Georgia for at least 3 quarters.
3rd down and 8. Tannehill's pass tipped and knocked down. Kevin Carter, the man who made that play. And the Gator crowd now getting after it for their defense. Carter, a sophomore out of Tallahassee. He was a freshman All-SEC last year. This year he started the season at right defensive end. When Steve Spurrier started moving people around, Carter was versatile enough to go all the way over to the other side.
And before that, he was an outside linebacker. When they brought him in here, they brought him in as an outside linebacker, but he bulked up a little bit, didn't miss any meals, and you know, he's got great speed, gets off the ball well. And now he's becoming as big as he ought to be to play defensive end.
Marty Simpson, the kicker. Monty Duncan, the return man. Simpson hangs one up. No chance for a return here. And the fair catch at the 20-yard line. 12:20 second quarter. 3-0 South Carolina. Let's get an update downstairs. Here's Bob Kessler.
You know, Bob, it's interesting the way the wind is blowing. If you look at the top of the stadium, you would think that right now Florida's got it going into the breeze. But look at the goalpost. The wind's blowing the other way, so Florida actually has the wind at its back. The stadium is enclosed. The wind is swirling. And I'm telling you what, the breeze is really pretty brisk down here behind the Gators.
The wind is out of the counterclockwise direction.
I've seen it happen in Major League Baseball parks where the wind will hit a press box and head straight out to the outfield. Coming in from center field. Shane Matthews sacked. First man to get to him was James Dexter. Dexter came into the game with a half of a sack this year. He held on long enough so that Reed could finish off the play.
Well, the South Carolina defense is used to carrying the load. Matthews trying to get to the tight end, but he doesn't feel comfortable with the room that he has there. And as you pointed out, Dexter first got to begin to drag him down.
He's a redshirt freshman out of West High School in Springfield, Virginia. Matthews running one way, throwing the other. Out near the original line of scrimmage. The man who caught it was Willie Jackson, but he had nowhere to go.
And you talk about slowing down the fun and gun. One of the things that's necessary is you need to tackle people well. Spurrier was going to spread you out, and then he's going to try to nitpick you a little bit, run that little option route like that. Jackson finds an opening. He's got the ball. Now, he's going to try to make you miss and turn it into a 15-yarder. Good tackling by South Carolina.
That was Hank Campbell with the open field tackle. Third down and 11 for the Gators. 42% on third down they are this year. Matthews out to Jack Jackson. Got away. There's a fumble, but the ball got out of bounds. They are saying he caught the football and then fumbled it. Ball spotted. Well short of first down yardage. They needed the 30. They're only at the 26.5.
Another good job here. Matthews comes back and look at the direction of his head. He never really gives away where he's going to go. Jackson makes the catch, but the ball is torn loose by Eric Brown.
That ball went right beyond the first down marker. Official says nope, can't fumble it forward. Shane Edge will be the kicker. Terrell Harris, the return man, at his 33 for South Carolina. And Edge gets one into this one. Way back to the 20-yard line. And he's facing three Gators, the first of which takes him down. A good play on special teams by Myrick Anderson, number 26.
Terrell Harris doing a good job of fielding the ball. The ball came out of the sun. Look at Shane Edge, led the SEC last year in punting, and he really blasts this one out of there.
Florida at Vanderbilt. Could they wrap up the SEC title next week in the Eastern Division? They've got to win this one first. We'll see you from Nashville next Saturday. First down at the 27. Tannehill goes to work. And out to the right side again. The Gamecocks really chewing up some yardage on first down. Rob DeBoer on the carry.
That way they go the other way. They've been running to the tight end, running the toss with Brandon Bennett and Wilburn, and this time they come back into the short side of the field with Rob DeBoer. DeBoer taking it. Miles slips inside. Hanks coming to contain number 11. Larry Kennedy comes up to help make the tackle.
Second down and 3. The big difference today, South Carolina, good yardage on first down. Florida has not. And that looked like Rob DeBoer being wrapped up by Kevin Carter. Carter, 57, knifing over from left end.
See, Rivens gets the trap block there, and it looked good. But Kevin Carter, closing it down from the backside, is able to catch DeBoer before he can get through that hole. There you see Ron Zook, the defensive coordinator here in Florida.
Third down and 2. South Carolina only 27% this year on third down plays, but 50-50 today. Tannehill can't get the quick one. He'll have to throw it up top, and it is too tall and almost intercepted. Larry Kennedy laying on his back trying to pick that one off. Intended receiver was Stacy Robinson, and the Florida defense gets tough again.
But Tannehill had a shot to run for that one. He elected to throw it downfield. Great leap by Larry Kennedy. He almost fell right in his lap.
Marty Simpson with another kick. Monty Duncan, the return man. Go from his own 24, end over end, but he gets a little distance with it, pushing Duncan back to his 21. He'll come out to the near side and get about 9 yards on the return before Mike Landry knocked him down. 8:18 to go in the half. Still 3-0 Carolina. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. This broadcast is a copyrighted presentation. Any use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Southeastern Conference and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. Shane Matthews trying to get something going on first down. Their last 3 first down plays haven't gone anywhere, but this one does as Eric Rhett speeds straight ahead.
Florida in there with regular personnel, a tight end, 2 wide receivers, a fullback, and this rascal right here. 1,000-yard rusher last year. He joins Emmitt Smith, who did it twice. Jimmy DeBose did it once. Neil Anderson once.
Out to the 45-yard line for Eric Rhett, who came into the game number 3 on the Florida all-time list with 2,643 yards. They'd love to see him reach 100. He's done it 12 times in his career. In those games, Florida is 12-0.
A certain statistic there, right?
I would say so, until somebody proves him wrong. Rhett again crossing into South Carolina territory. Now they're the running Gators with 7.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, if South Carolina is going to spread out to try to stop the pass, Spurrier making a decision to just go with the run. You see Randolph leading the way. Nice block there on Benji Young.
2nd down and 4. Charlie Dean, the tight end, switching over to the near side. They'll run right behind him with Rhett. And right around the end to make the play, Ernest Dixon. This guy has really been something the last couple of weeks. He's out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, a 6'2", 240 junior.
Last year he backed up Gerald Dixon at outside linebacker, also backed up Brown on the inside. Well, he has made the plays.
They're real short at outside linebacker. Lawrence Mitchell, who backs up Dixon, started on the other side today because Keith Franklin has a bad shoulder. Chris Rump is coming off knee surgery, and their backup is a redshirt freshman, James Flowers. So they need a big day from Ernest Dixon. Matthews under pressure, looking for an opening. Can't throw it, and he will be blasted out of bounds. Right at the Florida bench. I can see Tony Watkins, 24, in on that. Also Frank Adams, 21. Troy Duke from left end on the pursuit.
David Bybee has to be really happy. He's a defensive secondary coach at South Carolina. You see the youngster, Reggie Green, trying to drive Ernest Dixon around the quarterback. Dixon is so fast off the ball, it's hard for Green to set up. But the secondary for South Carolina, who's coached by David Bybee, is really playing well. Great job of jamming on that 3rd down. Can cause confusion in the route.
Shane Edge needs to push the Gamecocks deep in their own territory. This one carries down to the 16, and a fair catch signaled by Terrell Harris. South Carolina leading 3-0 against this high-powered Florida attack. They're a little quiet at Florida Field with 6:10 to go in the first half. 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the second quarter, a score that has to be sending some surprise reaction around the SEC. Gamecocks 3-0. Let's go down to the sideline. Here's Bob Kesling.
You know, Florida's been winning a lot of close games. In fact, Steve Spurrier, the coach, said it's amazing his team is leading the SEC East. They are last in 5 key statistics in the Southeastern Conference. Stats like a quarterback sacks. They're the most penalized team in the conference, and they're 11th in the conference in pass defense. So there's a lot of pressure on the Florida offense to score because the Florida defense didn't make a lot of things happen lately.
Last 3 times Carolina's had the ball they have, but not lately in terms of recent weeks. Brandon Bennett, the ball carrier. Ed Robinson on the stop from his inside linebacker position. And we have a player down.
I think it's Myrick Anderson, and
Yep.
he ran into Ernest Dye as they ran a trap. Eddie Robinson reading the trap, sees Ernest Dye coming around. See Corey Lucci getting the block, number 70 for South Carolina.
In the SEC East, it's Georgia 5-2, Florida 4-2, Tennessee 3-3. Georgia playing at Auburn today, and that won't be easy. A lot of teams get beat up when they go down there. If Florida wins this one and next week, there's nothing Georgia and Tennessee can do. The Volunteers, with Johnny Majors on his way out, still could win the East. If they win their remaining games, Auburn upsets Georgia and Florida trips up these last 2 weeks. Now, wouldn't that be something? They get rid of Johnny Majors, and then if the Volunteers would come back and win the thing anyway, like a lot of people thought they would about a month ago. Now there's a lot of speculation. Johnny Majors could end up back up at the University of Pittsburgh.
Well, you know, after the Tennessee game and the Mississippi State game, people were writing off this Gator football team, but Spurrier knew he had a young football team, knew they'd get a little bit better every week, and just told folks, let's see what happens after we play the 8 games in the SEC. Let's see where we sit then. Where we sit now is not important.
Johnny Majors might have been better off losing early. The expectations skyrocketed when his young team went 5-0. Brandon Bennett running right in to the man up front, Kevin Carter. Now check it. That is number 97, David Bernard. He's a true freshman out of Miami Senior High School.
This is a play that, against the draw, it's not necessarily what you'd like to have on.
Well, Bernard finished the play off. Hard not to run into him. 6'2", 307, his dimensions. 3rd down and 10 from the 17. Tannehill with time. Across the middle, he's got a man, Toby Cates, out at the 35-yard line. Big play on 3rd down as Cates came flying across from the near side to the far, and Tannehill hit him in full stride.
Excellent protection here by South Carolina. Gives Tannehill a long time. Nobody's in his face, and Cates beats Kennedy across the field to the inside. Cates was a starting corner last year, and they just needed him on offense.
His 14th catch of the year. He averages about 14 yards per reception. Rob DeBoer, the ball carrier, on the 1st down play. And this one will be out around the 37, maybe the 37.5-yard line. Clock runs with 4.5 to go before halftime. At the half, Bob Kesling will take you around the SEC with his usual look at the happenings of the league in the last week. We'll also take a look at Garrison Hurst of Georgia, a Heisman candidate. 2nd down and 8. Fumble on the exchange. Tannehill spotted it right away and got down on the football.
It looked like there was an automatic or a change in the play at the line of scrimmage. Tannehill never really got the ball from Kenny Farrell. Fortunately for South Carolina, he covered the football. Keep things simple. Don't give too many people too many decisions to make at the line of scrimmage when things are going your way.
He faces a 3rd down and 8. They get a 1st down here. They could hold on to the ball possibly for the rest of the half. He's flushed out of there, and he is sacked. Johnny Church got him.
Johnny Church, a true freshman, The switch from the Gator back to defensive end during fall practice. This is a great move by Mark Campbell. Flushed him out, and Church gets a sack. Watch Campbell slide past him. Zoom, he misses on the inside, and here comes number 40, Johnny Church, and takes Tannehill down. Great pressure by that front four of Florida.
And a kicking situation. Looked like it was going to be end over end. Then it started spiraling about halfway through its flight. And Florida has good field position at its own 38 with 2:39 to go in the first half. But really, South Carolina against these Gators really in a no-lose situation. Even if Florida goes right down the field and scores 7-3 at halftime would be okay for Sparky Woods. He'd love it to be 3-0.
Well, this is exactly the kind of thinking that he's trying to change in his South Carolina team, I think. You and I would think that, but he's trying to change their mind. He said, look it, boys, we should be ahead 10-0. We're not lucky to be in this 7-3 at halftime.
First down at the 38. Matthews looking left side. He's got a man. That is Willie Jackson. Down to the 46 of South Carolina.
Matthews been throwing underneath. And this time he has the pattern underneath. Looks a little bit deeper, and he delivers it right on time to Willie Jackson. He led the SEC last year in touchdown receptions, and Norman Green just hangs on.
Matthews again, a little longer this time, and it's too long for Jack Jackson. Frank Adams, the left corner, who had a huge game himself last week, the man back there in coverage.
Well, Frank Adams has come up with the big plays at important times also for the South Carolina defense, and as far as a cornerback, he is having an exceptional season.
Myrick Anderson with a left ankle injury is headed for the Florida locker room. Obviously they have it iced already. Second down and 10 from the 46. Look out! And from behind, Ernest Dixon. Dixon's 4th sack of the year and his 24th career.
And Dixon isn't that big a fella, but he gets her off the line so quickly. He's going to try to, Reggie Green's just going to have to try to get that left arm on him, try to drive him a little bit deeper. Or they're going to have to start giving him some help with the fullback.
A minute 30 to go, 3rd and 18, back in Florida territory at the 46.
This time they hold a tight end to block him.
Sideline pattern, far side, nobody there. Trey Everett never got outside. Double coverage by Norman Green, Rocky Clay, and Steve Spurrier faces a punting situation. 4th down with a minute 18 to go in the half. He had hoped for a nice little drive to take into the locker room, possibly with the lead, but it didn't happen. And Shane Edge will punt for the 5th time today.
Well, never a dull moment for Steve Spurrier this year, but he knew he had a young team. Only 3 seniors on the 2-deep chart. That means on the top 22 players in his team, 3 seniors. So a lot of teaching to do.
Stacey Robinson and Terrell Harris on the return team. It'll be a fair catch at the 9. Dropped. Who has it? South Carolina does. Terrell Harris saying no problem.
Well, let me get to the sideline so my heart can start again.
He's playing it cool, but he is terribly relieved. His team, after a 44-yard kick, will take over at its own 9-yard line.
You try to concentrate on the ball, Loop.
He just did get it away before it was grabbed by Pete Archie of Florida.
I got it, boys. I got it. No problem.
Yeah. 1:05 to go. Cox on the ground for the first one. Rob DeBoer for a yard. Carlton Miles comes in to help on the stop.
DeBoer coming into this game was only 57 yards short of passing up a South Carolina great. Alex Hawkins, that great Gamecock running back. Baltimore Colt wide receiver, running back, bon vivant, and author.
Timeout called by Florida.
There's Ron Zook, who played his football at Miami of Ohio.
The cradle of coaches.
You bet. I met him the first time when he was a coordinator at Tennessee. Or he's a defensive backfield coach at Tennessee at that point in time. And just a lot of fun to be around. Doesn't talk any faster than, slower than about 135 words a minute. He's excited. You'll never, if you see him stand still, it's time to bury him because he doesn't ever do that. He just kind of moves back and forth. And like I said, for the defense of Florida, it's been a real challenge this year because they've had so many people injured and they've had to squeeze and move so many people around.
2nd down and 9. Florida still has a couple of timeouts. They can stop it after every play and make them kick. Tannehill fumbling the exchange again. This one went straight up in the air. And then he grabbed it and got down to the ground. And Florida stops the clock again with 52 seconds to go.
Look at Eddie Robinson from Defuniak Springs. Boy, he just can't wait to get it unwind, get it on track. Last year, he was in a rotation with Timmy Paulk and Carlton Miles. In 1990, he was a freshman All-SEC. He got 84 tackles this year, a couple of interceptions. But between Miles and Carlton, Miles has 102 tackles, and Carlton, they're carrying a lot of weight, playing very well.
Well, there will have to be a big second half for this statistic to hold up, because they may hold them under 21. But who knows if they can win this one. Florida, not much offensively in the first half. 7 first downs, and so does South Carolina.
Sparky talking upstairs to Art Wilkins, who's a quarterback coach, and they're just trying to settle this guy down. Just take it easy, get the ball from center. Everything will go in 3-zip, and then we'll come out, show them what we can do in the second half.
And if they don't get a first down here, Florida probably be stopping the clock again. Brandon Bennett off the left side. Carlton Miles says, I'll put an end to this play. And Florida wants to stop the clock one more time with 43 seconds. So South Carolina got the ball back, and in 3 plays, they only ran about 20 seconds off the clock.
We got another timeout.
And the Gators should get it back with good field position as well. Their return men are Willie Jackson and Monty Duncan. Eric Rett already hearing from the coach about the first couple of plays offensively. And those could be receiving plays for the running back, not running plays.
Because he's the second leading receiver on this team. He's got great hands. He's going to be a #1 draft choice when it's his time. Fine runner. And he's been schooled in the game as they play it professionally by Steve Spurrier.
There's Marty Simpson. Monty Duncan is at his own 43-yard line. So the Gators may not be done yet offensively in this first half. Simpson will be about the 6-yard line when he lets it go.
South Carolina calling in their cover guy to make sure they can get this off.
They did. End over end kick. What kind of bounce will it take? A soft one. And the ball will be downed at the 45-yard line of Florida with 31 seconds to go. The Gators get it back. A 37-yard kick with no return. Sparky Woods will call on his defense one more time. They won a game for him last week, and they've been outstanding against Shane Matthews and the high-powered Gators so far today.
And I think you have to stay with what you've been doing. You know, don't go to a 2-minute defense. Don't go to anything softer. Sparky knows that Matthews has worked against standard defenses for the last 3 years. Just stay with what's working for you.
4 wide receivers. Matthews deep drop down the middle, and it is intercepted by Norman Green. Trey Everett, the intended receiver, and Norman Green picked it off for his first INT of the year.
Everett never got it back far enough toward the middle of the field. Let's watch how this develops. Norman Green has to cover half the field in this particular coverage. You see how the South Carolina defender does an excellent job. That's Tony Watkins of spreading Trey Everett out. And it gives Norman Green a chance to help on both those guys deep. Super job by Green.
Just a sophomore out of Sumter, South Carolina. 24 seconds to go. Gamecocks will run it for Rob DeBoer. He'll get outside and get about 8 yards on first down. Gamecocks will let the clock roll out. Florida can't stop it. And the first half will come to a close. You know, in about a half hour, they'll take the field in Auburn. Georgia at Auburn. Georgia is 5-2. Florida is 4-2. When they announce this score, there will be some happy Bulldogs down there in the land of the blue and orange down there. We will wait and see. 3-0 at the half. South Carolina leads Florida. A team that came in averaging total yards almost 400 a game in the first half today. They're right at about 130.
Great effort by South Carolina's defense. You know,
so with that score 3-0, let's get down to the sideline with Bob Kesling.
Coach, your team's right in this one.
Well, we've been fortunate. Our defense is playing really good. We passed up some opportunities, had them open on a halfback pass and overthrew the football, and then faked the punt. I wished I would have gone ahead and punted the ball down. It gave away our field position a little bit. We snapped the ball high, so we didn't have much of a disguise on our fake. Florida's got a real explosive team. We'll have to score more points than we're doing, and hopefully our defense continue to hang on.
But your running attack came out and established a tempo early.
Well, we're trying to be physical and coming off the ball. Boy, they're getting tougher. They're standing up there and coming off and making tackles. They run so doggone fast, it's hard to block them very long, so you got to hit the hole running. But I'm sure it'll be a great second half. We just got to make sure we come out and play hard enthusiasm in the last 30 minutes.
Down to 3 points will win this one.
No, they'll score. We got to get going on defense, and we've got to move the ball a little bit on offense. Maybe we get some field position. We had some of that early after the first drive. We need to convert some. Steve made a good throw down there and give us a little confidence on how to throw the football.
Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Sparky Woods of the South Carolina Gamecocks, his team leading Florida in a surprise here at halftime at Florida Field, 3-0. Back with our halftime activities when we come back in just a moment.
Is brought to you by Ford at your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. Stability is just one of our benefits. And by new Colders 29 and 29 Light. Cold aged at 29 degrees to seal in smoothness. Jefferson Pilot Sports exclusive coverage of SEC football is brought to you by Lowe's, helping add value to your home. By Shoney's Breakfast Bar, the best breakfast in town. By Buick and your Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the Nationwide agent nearest you.
Second half coming up here at Florida Field. It's the Gamecocks of South Carolina leading the Gators of Florida 3-0 at the half. And there's a gentleman down on the field today, a former Florida great, who's headed for the Hall of Fame. He's with Bob Kesling.
Jack Youngblood, one of the great players in Florida history in the NFL. Jack, congratulations. What an honor.
It truly is. And, you know, it all started right here at the University of Florida. And these people saw something in a skinny North Florida boy, and you know, it's gone from there. And it's just a tremendous honor. It really is.
With all the great players, you're only the third from Florida, so that is another honor too.
It really is. You know, to be with you know, the names of Van Suckle and Steve Spurrier. I mean, what can you say?
It's the type game you like to, defense, right?
I'm gonna have to go down there and help these boys out. I think. I'm not sure. I do. I love it. The Gamecocks are playing tough.
Yeah, they are. Jack, congratulations. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, Jack Youngblood going to the Hall of Fame.
All right, Bob Kesling, thank you. We're going to the second half. Florida will kick it away. And this one, end over end, down to the goal line. It is Frank Adams returning it. He will angle inside of the 20 and get out to about the 25-yard line. And that's where South Carolina will have it. Matt Pearson cracked him down. That Florida kick was taken by Ryan Rulin. And they were also, Steve Spurrier was, warming up another place kicker, Judd Davis, out on the field at halftime. Another face mask.
Back on the end.
Wow. Down. And this is a big one. It'll take it out to the 40-yard line nearly and turn the Gamecocks field position into very good position.
Adams last week in the second quarter took one back 91 yards. So they're working hard for him. Thinks he sees something, and there it is. That's
looked like Lawrence Hatch, the man who got it. First down at the 40. Rob DeBoer. And he'll tumble his way ahead for about 5 yards. South Carolina has been so good on first down today. He's got a couple of workhorses back there, Steve Tannehill does, and Rob DeBoer, the junior, Brandon Bennett, the sophomore. This team's only going to get better. They've got a lot of good young players who are coming back. DeBoer out of Burke High School in Omaha.
Good job by Corey Lucci, the right tackle there on Kevin Carter. That opened it up for Rob DeBoer.
He originally came to Carolina on a baseball scholarship after hitting .512 in high school. Didn't look like there was much there. And Brandon Bennett got ahead for about 3 or 4 yards, and they'll be faced with third down in less than 2.
And Hanks makes the stop on Bennett. Ben Hanks, number 11 for Florida. He's outside linebacker, and he's wearing Steve Spurrier's retired number, and he's the one that caught up with Brandon Bennett.
Third down and 2. First man DeBoer, and he's got the first down. They had to get the nose of the football to the midfield stripe, and he got it about a yard further. South Carolina, its 8th first down of the day. It's more than they had all of last week, and they've got their total yards well up over that total of last week as well.
Steve Tannehill waiting for the call from the sideline. You know, and Sparky Woods defeated Steve Spurrier when Spurrier was at Duke in his first game at South Carolina.
First down at the 49 of Florida. DeBoer, and hello, says the bandit back, but Ben Hanks was run right over by Rob DeBoer. Hanks goes 6'1", 216, DeBoer 5'10", 205. It should have been a good matchup for a Gator tackle, but Rob DeBoer got away.
Now, watch Ben Hanks, and he is a fine athlete. Miles fights off the block. Now, Hanks rides into DeBoer, but DeBoer runs right through him, and they expect that Hanks to be an All-American. That's why Steve Spurrier gave him his number, took the number out of retirement. We'll talk about that story, but they expect great things from Hanks. Fine running by DeBoer, who's, as you pointed out, a catcher and a designated hitter.
Here's DeBoer again. And he tumbles ahead to the 40-yard line, and that'll leave them with third and short again. Johnny Church on the hit, and then Monty Groh with his 5th tackle of the day finished off the play.
Run right at him. That's what they're doing right now. That time Antoine Riven's got a good pull block up front. Gator defensive lineman, and open that spot up for DeBoer. Keep the ball on the ground, run the clock, take as much time as you can, Steve Tannehill. Wait for that 25-second clock to reach 24.
They've already taken up 2.5 minutes of the third quarter. They will pitch it to Bennett. He will get outside and get the first down. Taken down by Del Spear. Bennett knew exactly where he had to go. And South Carolina will move the chains again. This team is inches from leading this game 10-0 on a halfback pass that almost was a touchdown, but it's still 3-0. They drive now.
Watch the block by DeBoer. He allows Bennett to get outside. Then Del Spear, the defensive back, fights off the block of Don Chaney and makes the play. Great job by Del Spear.
Here they come on first down. They get away from Miles, and Bennett almost got loose with one less linebacker out there. Carlton Miles came knifing through, and then Bennett ran right in behind him. Johnny Church on the stop.
Florida on defense, blitzing to try to cause something to happen. Watch Carlton Miles, times it very well. Eddie Robinson, 41, sliding along inside, but can't hang on. Good tackle by Will White coming up to Phil. Or it was Johnny Church that made the tackle.
Second down and 4. Tannehill A pitch to Bennett. Reads his block, goes outside, first down, and he's down to the 25-yard line.
A fine job by Brandon Bennett setting up this block. What's this offensive line work? Number 70, Lucci, 76, Rivens. Dinkins, 73. Great block. Bennett set it up. He got Bro to bite inside. Jeter hooked him, and then he was out and around the outside. Will White finally dragged him to the ground.
Now they're at the 25. South Carolina outrushing Florida by nearly a 3-1 margin. Tannehill for Wilburn. He will angle outside and get about 5 or 6 on first down. The one thing that South Carolina has done today, they have really stayed out of 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations.
And they've run the ball well. I mean, this is frustrating, of course, for Spurrier. He likes it when they have the ball. And he can make those motions with his arms and all that stuff and send in the play. This is a time when he's got to be patient and be thinking about what he is going to get cranked up when they get the ball back.
We got a player down on the field. It looks like Ben Hanks, who is slow in getting up.
You know, he might have got a stinger that time he hit DeBoer. He's been kind of hanging in there. That last tackle he missed, and he may have a problem with that shoulder. The thing is, his backup, Myrick Anderson, was taken off the field in the first half.
2nd down and 4 at the 19. Here they come. Tannehill with a pump fake, lofts it into the end zone, and it is broken up beautifully. Larry Kennedy. Don Chaney, who goes 6'6", that's why Tannehill hung the ball up, was waiting for it, and Larry Kennedy at only 5'10", timed it beautifully.
Well, he's had 2 of these leaping catches in the last 3 games. And he's gone up and actually taken the ball away from the defender. Here he's about 7 inches taller than Larry Kennedy. But Kennedy goes up and makes a good play on the ball.
3rd and 4. Wilburn ran into a blocker, tumbles ahead. He'll be just short of a first down. It appeared that he ran into Kenny Farrell, the center, as Farrell was blocking for him.
Number 70 is Lucci. Boomer Foster, 87. Jeter leads the way, number 42. But his knee went down, short, 4th and 1.
And they are going.
Actually, it's closer to 2.
Yeah, it's a short 1 or a short 2 maybe, instead of a long 1. And there's the plunge by Bennett, and he appears to be short. You know, that wasn't like they needed 1 yard or less. Even if he had plunged over cleanly, that may have not been the right play to get the first down.
Well, whenever it doesn't work, Sparky knows it's not the right play. You know, but you make your decisions, you make your best shot. You know where you want to go. All these decisions aren't made on the sideline. They're made in the coach's office on Wednesday or Thursday night. If we got to have it on 4th down, what play do we want to run? Because they've got Florida's tendencies. They know what Florida's going to do. They know what they want to attack. And here they go behind Ernest Dye. I mean, he's their best lineman, but a super job of filling by the Florida Eddie Robinson and Monty Groh, and that stacks it up.
First down at the 17. Wayne Matthews giving the ball off to Eric Rhett. We're down to 5 minutes gone now in the 3rd quarter. Florida just now getting the football. South Carolina 8 up. 5.5 minutes at the beginning of the 1st quarter, and nearly 5 minutes at the start of the 3rd.
Now, if I'm the defensive coordinator at South Carolina, well, Aldridge and Tommy West, Mike Aldridge and Tommy West, I'd like 10-minute drives. Don't give me those 5-minute drives. You know, I'm talking to Art Wilkins saying, hey, look, you guys need to keep the ball longer.
2nd down and 7. And that pitch for good yardage out over the 30-yard line. That is Malone, the ball carrier.
Ibra Malone. He was injured the last time we were here in the swamp at the beginning of the season. Missed last year with a soldier's shoulder surgery. Watch 24, Trey Everett. Watch him. Boom. And he gets the block on Campbell. And they're off and running. Good job by the little wide receiver working hard.
Idra Malone, his 27th carry of the year. And they got the first down out at the 33. Now cutting it up, at least attempting to do so, Eric Rett. Tony Watkins up from strong safety to help out big number 90. Lawrence Mitchell, the right outside linebacker.
And Eric Brown was upfield. He was right in Dean Golden's face as Golden tried to lead the way on that run. And he really confused the timing of that play. South Carolina playing strong on defense.
On a 2nd down and 8. Matthews with time. Now he's flushed out. And a wobbly pass that would have gone for negative yardage. Trey Everett, the intended receiver on that play.
Florida has a favorite pattern, and every coach has one. And Steve Spurrier is trying to hook somebody up, hit somebody at the line of scrimmage, and run a corner route or a curl in behind it. That time, South Carolina had 3 people there. Lawrence Mitchell finally provided the pressure. Everett can't stay in bounds.
Maryland still battling it out with struggling Clemson, and NC State leads Duke by 2 touchdowns. That play never came off. Gamecocks over the line of scrimmage. David Turnipseed saying they made us do it. We'll see.
That's what my son Tommy always says. They made me do it.
My sister made me do it.
Before the ball was snapped, we had contact with the defense.
This one's on the defense. That'll make it a 3rd and 3. Florida 0 for its last 4 in passing. Wake over Tech, 2nd quarter. South Carolina finishes its season against Clemson of the ACC, that great South Carolina rivalry. And there's a pitch to Malone again. Great pursuit by the Gamecocks, and he will be short. Troy Duke getting up from that pile. He's down at the bottom of it. Number 89.
Just a fantastic job by the defensive end. Troy Duke. Watkins there to help. Great pursuit. Florida has been close. This is the same thing we saw against Tennessee. A great offense bottled up by the South Carolina defense. They've been inches away from breaking big gainers and making big plays, but South Carolina's defense just flying to the football.
Shane Edge, the punter. Harrison Robinson back to receive, and this is a long one. It'll hit on the goal line and go into the end zone. It'll be a 59-yard kick with no return. South Carolina at its own 20, and yes, it's still 3-0 in Gainesville. You better have standing room if you're going to be behind that guy. The Mad Hatter cheering for the Gators, who have no points on the board today. South Carolina with the football. 7:38 to go, 3rd quarter. Tannehill off the hands of Asim Penny. Here's Bob Kessling with a sideline update.
The South Carolina defense right now getting well-deserved rest. They have held Florida to 1 of 7 third-down conversions today. What makes that so impressive heading into the game, Florida was hitting on almost 42%, which is best in the SEC. So the Carolina defense has risen to the occasion time after time and kept their team in the game.
2nd down and 10. Rob DeBoer on the right side, trying to straight arm tacklers to get outside. Good pursuit by the Gators. Will White from free safety up. Number 2 on the stop.
Will White's been a great player for Florida for 3 years. All-American as a sophomore. A That's 7 interceptions. Actually, his 13 interceptions tie for the most in Florida school history. And he got his 13th one against Auburn last year. Tied Bruce Bennett. Good hustle by Will White.
Dying to get that record-setting interception. He's got 3 games left to do it. Tannehill flushed out, but he's got room and time. Rifles one, and it's caught at the 33-yard line. And then stumbling ahead out to the 35 is Don Chaney. Now, he is so big, that could be a pass intended for him or another guy downfield. He jumped up to pick it off.
This is not necessarily a timing route. Monty Groves sitting right there. They can't hit it. They might have been thinking about throwing it past him on the arrow up. But Tannehill drifted out of the pocket, threw it to Chaney, and the big guy got the first down.
Rob DeBoer will pick up about 5.5 yards on first down. They've got a couple of great workhorses on this offensive football team with DeBoer and Bennett. Terry Wilburn, a third guy who can really get it done. We saw Mike Reddick, who's a 4th guy, a redshirt freshman. He backs up Brandon Bennett. We saw him score a touchdown against Tennessee.
Keep it on the ground if you can keep it on the ground. As long as you can keep it rolling against these rascals.
Wilburn, the deep man, and he will be taken down by Monty Groves. Groves came in from Gator back and just felt his way through the line and repped up the ball carry. He's 3rd on the team in tackles. That'll be about 70-some for him on the year, including today's action.
Good job by Groves. Fights off the blocker, brings down the speedster, Terry Wilburn.
Setting up a 3rd and 7. One of the few times today South Carolina has been in 3rd and long. Draw play to DeBoer. Forget it. Bill Gunner was right there. 93 to make the stop. So was Carlton Miles, who comes in right behind him. Ed Robinson helping out.
Sparky Woods not wanting to take a chance with the football. They've got the lead, 3-0. Let's run the draw play. Maybe we can catch him. But you don't want to be throwing the ball when you're backed up and you have a lead at Florida Field.
Carolina will have to kick it away. Monty Duncan is at his own 30 for the Gators. And this is a beauty. High and far. Back to the 15-yard line. Did he outkick his coverage? No, sir. Gamecocks do a nice job of covering. We'll take a timeout. 3-0. Carolina still leads, and back after a word from your local station. We head up to Music City next Saturday. Nashville, home of the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Gators up there. Will they be trying to clinch the SEC East? They've got to win this one today. We're on the air at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central next Saturday. After a 54-yard kick, nothing doing for the Gators on first down as Frank Adams rides Eric Rett toward that far sideline.
Fine job by Adams getting upfield and turning the play back into Dixon and the rest of his Gamecock defense. You see Jimmy Watson, number 73, can't get outside. Adams is right in their face right now. Great job by Adams. Dixon gets there to help on the tackle.
2nd down and 8. 3:50 to go in the 3rd quarter. Matthews up the middle. It is caught out at the 45-yard line. Aubrey Hill with his 2nd catch of the day.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good.
Hill with 11 catches on the year now and his 2nd today.
Great throw by Matthews here. He tries to hit the 2-deep zone up the middle. And you see Hank Campbell, 85, is right there. Almost gets a paw on it. Finally, Hill brings it down. Good catch, Aubrey.
And a draw play. Rett feeling his way behind his fullback, Kelvin Randolph. A lot of heavy traffic in there. Neither of them could go very far. Hank Campbell had it blocked up.
Campbell's an interesting story, too. A walk-on last year that had academic problems last spring. went to school, got the grades, and now he's back, and just been a valuable asset. Pairs up with Eric Brown on the inside.
2nd down and 7. Rhett gives it back to Matthews and runs into the pattern. Across the middle, it is caught by Jack Jackson, and he is down inside the 15. The tiniest of flea flickers for a big play.
A little razzle-dazzle. He was looking deep first. He didn't have it. Jackson had Inman chasing across the field, and Inman can't bring him down. Finally, Rocky Clay grabs him and fires him to the turf before Norman Green can get there to help.
1st down at the 13. Florida's 2nd deepest penetration of the day. Matthews wants a timeout. He looked up and saw something behind the line of scrimmage in that linebacking area that he didn't like. 2:15 to go, 3rd quarter. Gators trail, but they're close to the end zone. 3-0 South Carolina with 2:15 3rd quarter remaining. Gators in that Tiger formation. 5 guys, all with at least 9 catches and big yardage as well. Willie Jackson, the ringleader, 512 yards and those 6 touchdown catches.
And that's why it's so hard to defend him. You know, which one do you stop? I mean, then they're all good. In 1990, the Gators had 3 receivers with over 35 catches. So Shane Matthews really spreads it out.
Only their 2nd time inside the 20 today. Eric Rhett, motion man. Outstanding pass receiver himself. Matthews looking end zone, and it is tipped down. Eric Brown might have had his back to the quarterback, but he still got a piece of it. Eric Keller, the tight end, Greg Keller, excuse me, the intended receiver.
Matthews shifts Rhett out to the sideline, decides to throw it back to the tight end. Watch number 48. Now, as long as that hand isn't in the receiver's face, that's legal. That's no problem. Great play by Eric Brown. He must practice karate or something like that. You know, he gets that from meditating.
7-0 Memphis State over the Volunteers. That's the last thing Johnny Majors needs this week. Shane Matthews running. Now he'll stop. Anybody open out there? And a flag inside the 5-yard line. Eric Rhett, the intended receiver, and Jerry Inman. Sparky Woods can't believe it.
Of course, that's the official's just doing his job.
Defensive pass interference. It's a 1st down at the spot.
Shane Matthews buying time, buying time, buying time. South Carolina pursuing. Let's go back the other way. He sees somebody all the way back across the field. Fires it in there. And Inman comes over the top. They call pass interference.
Well, you're outnumbered up here because...
Hey, there is no such thing as pass interference.
2 out of 3 of us...
Working with me long enough now to understand this.
2 out of 3 of us thought it was a good call.
It was a good call. I just don't believe in pass interference.
Eric Rhett on 1st down. Very close to scoring. His shoulder cracked down just before he got to the goal line. It'll be 2nd and inches. Kim Anderson, our spotter, signaled good call as well. But it was a very difficult
Wait a minute. Now you're gonna rely on the spotter to outvote me? Now come on.
Only because he's the best in the business.
That's true. Great effort by Rhett. Fights through the block, the tackle of Ernest Dixon.
2nd and goal. And they are into the end zone. Shane Matthews on the keeper. It took the Gators almost 44 minutes to score. Shane Matthews with his 2nd running touchdown of the year. Florida leads 6-3.
Shane Matthews not taking any chances. He's just going to try to leap it up over the top. Makes enough penetration to get into the end zone.
And a new kicker out there, Judd Davis, after the failure earlier of Bart Edmiston. Davis puts it through, and the Gators lead 7-3. It took Florida 43 minutes and 40 seconds to score today.
That's a real credit to the South Carolina defense. They've been all over. But you cannot keep these guys on the mat all afternoon. It's like Sparky Woods said at halftime. They're going to score. They're just too prolific in offense to not get on board eventually.
A little more to cheer about now down there. We're still patting Judd Davis on the shoulder pads for his first point of the year. 8 plays, 75-yard drive that took just over 3 minutes. And the Gators lead 7-3. Florida, the number 11 team in the country, according to the AP poll. USA Today and CNN consider them number 13 in the country. But they keep playing just slightly above the level of their competition. Now, this is a halftime shot of Judd Davis taking the field right after the band left and taking some practice strokes and hitting them pretty well.
They're working off some nervous energy, I think.
Yeah, Davis is a sophomore. They've got another kicker out there, Ryan Ruland, a junior, who takes the kickoffs. The return men, Frank Adams and Brandon Bennett. Gamecocks might feel it's time for another one of those big kickoff returns here. They got one last week from Frank Adams, a 91-yarder. And it will be Adams at his 8. Will escape out to the 25, cracked down from behind, and he'll tumble to the 29-yard line. Pete Archie, cornerback, number 6 on special teams with the stop. So now it's up again to the Carolina offense to get something going. Pressure shifting to freshman Steve Tannehill and his squad. They have 218 total yards, 171. Florida has 218. But no points since their first drive of the game.
Now, you don't think Florida has a home field advantage?
Ernest Dye, the left tackle, the senior out of Greenwood, South Carolina, the man standing up on the play. And that'll cost his team 5.
Before the ball was snapped, movement by the offensive line, 5 yards, still first down.
See, some teams play at home, but they don't have the home field advantage. That just means they don't have to get on a plane or a bus to go someplace else, because, you know, their fans don't necessarily respond like this. Try to change a play. I don't know if you guys can hear that at home, but
and that one is swung out to the right side for Brandon Bennett and out of bounds. Florida Field is a lot louder now because they have completely enclosed both ends of the stadium. Since they built that plush new facility up at the north end zone you're looking at there, the stadium is now enclosed and there's no place for the sound down there to escape like it used to. Florida Field now with a capacity of 83,000. We'll let you listen. Tannehill grounding one straight ahead. Toby Cates in the area. Ball never came close to getting there. Larry Kennedy on defense. We might let you listen in on 3rd and 13, the way this crowd is getting into it. Asim Penny checks out. Brandon Bennett leaves. Stacy Robinson out wide to the left. Near side, Toby Cates. Trouble on the exchange again. Tannehill rifles one and ahead for the first down. He had 2 tight ends in the game, and Matthew Campbell, the man who did it. He appeared like he was going to be stopped short. He's a big guy at 6'5", 255, and he needed every pound to reach first down yardage.
Sparky Woods puts in 2 tight ends to help protect Tannehill, so he has time to get it off. He finds him in a crowd of blue jerseys, and as you pointed out, then he bulls his way for an extra few yards to give South Carolina first down at the 41.
Toby Cates motioning. Tannehill gives inside to Rob DeBoer, who broke 1 tackle and then got wrapped up by Henry McMillan. Final 30 seconds of the third quarter. Florida leads it 7-3 with a Shane Matthews 1-yard touchdown run with 1:20 to go. But Sparky Woods has this game where he preferred to. He said, we've got to go into the fourth quarter not down by a couple of touchdowns. He'll only be down by 4 points. And they won't get the play off. They will change ends. 3 quarters in the books here in Gainesville, Florida. South Carolina fighting hard, trying to retake the lead when we come back. 2nd down and 8. 43-yard line of South Carolina. Gamecocks to get the fourth quarter underway. Trailing 7-3. Toby Cates, the motion man. Behind him, Tannehill. And he is sacked. Ben Hanks got a piece of him to knock him down. There was good quarterback pressure by the Florida front. And then Hanks came in from bandit back to steal the sack.
Well, this is the play they used to get the first down on 3rd and long, and the idea is do it till they stop you. Well, they stopped at that time, so good pressure by Florida.
3rd down and 11. Only quarter Gamecocks have outscored their opponents is the final one. Screen pass set up, and it dives into the turf. Quarterback pressure from Mark Campbell. Steve Tannehill's passes seem to have a lot of overspin on them. You and I were talking about that at halftime, Tim. That one looked like a relatively easy completion on the screen pass, and the nose of the ball dove straight down.
Well, he comes straight over the top with the ball, and often as it travels downfield, the nose is down, and that's a lot harder to catch. That one, the thing that made that go in the dirt was Mark Campbell.
Marty Simpson, the kicker. Monty Duncan back at his own 20. This is a beauty. Duncan had his 11 with the fair catch. A 49-yard punt. And that's where Florida will take over 1st and 10 at its own 11-yard line. Simpson does his job. Will Shane Matthews do the same for Steve Spurrier? Final home game of Matthews' career. They closed the season at Vanderbilt and then at Florida State. Matthews, the owner of 28 Florida passing records and 7 Southeastern Conference records.
Been over 200 yards passing in 28 of 31 starts. He's pretty consistent.
He probably won't catch Tommy Hodson of LSU on the all-time yardage chart unless he finishes with huge ball games. Matthews came in with 82-23. Tommy Hodson, who played 44 games for LSU in the late 80s, 9,115 yards. Shane Matthews is only playing his 32nd game today. So per game, more yardage than Hodson, but Tommy has the all-time record. 2nd down and 6. And out to the near side, Greg Keller, the tight end. He'll be out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
They love this route. Tight end underneath on a play pass. Will Jackson on the weak side, running a corner out. Good coverage by South Carolina, but Keller finds an open spot underneath.
They'll call it the nose of the ball at the 24. Peters in the eye with Randolph and Rhett. And a rocket down the field just beyond the reach of Willie Jackson. Rocky Clay with him step for step.
South Carolina going after him. Adams man-to-man on Trey Everett, then Rocky Clay hooked up with Jackson. Jackson hoofing it as fast as he could. Ball just a little bit overthrown. That man's got great hands. 51 catches last year, second best in the SEC, and Rocky Clay is doing a fine job on the outside. He's playing the field, corner, and the whole secondary for South Carolina playing very well.
Second down and 10. Matthews on the scramble for Keller. He's got a first down. He'll be out of bounds at the 43-yard line as they call on the tight end again. He'd only caught 9 passes for 99 yards the entire season coming in. 3 catches today.
Same route they ran earlier. This time there's a missed assignment in the secondary for South Carolina. Somebody's supposed to be with him. And finally, Cedric Surratt comes over and knocks him out of bounds. Good catch by Keller. He backed up Kirkpatrick for a couple of years.
He's out of Jesuit High School, New Orleans. First down at the 43. Eric Rett met head-on by Eric Brown. Brown with his 7th tackle of the day.
Led the team last year in tackles when he was a senior in high school. He was a player of the year in Maryland. And there it is, nose to nose. Pow! Good explosion, good lift by Brown. Gets some help, and Eric Rett goes down.
Is running with 12:35 to go. Matthews with play action, deep drop out to the left side, man open at the 35-yard line, and that is Harrison Houston.
This is Spurrier's favorite route. There's a hitch on the goal line. The slot runs the corner. And you'll see the cornerback, Rocky Clay. See Rocky Clay? He sits on that, sits on that, sits on that. And when Shane Matthews reads the cornerback in the flat, he knows he's going to the corner, to the slot. Perfect throw.
No way Norman Green could get there. Eric Rett on the carry. And he will be taken down for a loss. Eric Brown again.
Great penetration again by Tony Watkins upfield.
Eric Rett starting to wonder, what does this guy have against me? Every time I get the ball, he's making a big play. First it was up the middle, and that time it was outside.
Matthews could throw the corner route blindfolded. He doesn't need to be able to look. He doesn't need to see anything. They've run that play so many times, and it's probably the most difficult pass to defend for a defensive back.
Rett motions now. 2nd and 11 after the loss. Matthews straight up the middle, and that is Aubrey Hill into the end zone. Aubrey Hill with his 2nd touchdown catch of the year. Shane Matthews throws for the 16th time into the end zone, and the Gators are up by 10.
Florida motion to double. Responsibilities change in the secondary. Frank Adams, the closest man, but that was not his man.
Gators have struck quickly. 2 touchdowns in the last 5 minutes, and they lead it 14-3. Well, some felt it had to happen sooner or later. Florida goes 89 yards, the last 36. Shane Matthews to Aubrey Hill.
Matthews looks in the middle of the field. Nobody there. A little confusion in assignments as a result of the motion. And Aubrey Hill puts 6 on the board for the Gators.
Ryan Ruland on the kick. Frank Adams, the return. They'll run the reverse. And they'll get out to the 25-yard line as the ball was handed to Terry Wilburn, the running back, with action on special teams. after that great kick. Florida said, okay, Marty Simpson, we'll take it 89 yards. It took only 2.5 minutes on 8 plays. Johnny Majors and the Volunteers back on top at Memphis. 10-7, still early there. First down for the Gamecocks at their own 25-yard line. 11:33. They've got plenty of time to get back in the game. Tannehill, forget it. Johnny Church with his second sack of the day.
That time, Ron Zook's Florida defense showed him the blitz. Tannehill checks off. It's not a blitz. Church just coming from the outside makes the sack. Sometimes a freshman quarterback knows just enough to get him in trouble, you know?
Tannehill with time, and looking upfield before he had it was Brandon Bennett. Third down play coming up. It's getting loud down there because of defense, Bob Kessling.
Yeah, the offensive line, too, Bob, has really exerted itself as of late. One of the keys for the Florida offensive improvement the last several weeks, Dean Golden. He was suspended for breaking team rules the first 5 games of the season. He's now back in the lineup. He practiced the whole time and has really added stability to this Florida offensive line.
Took them a while to get on the board, nearly 44 minutes today, but now they've gotten 2 quick scores. 3rd and 14 for South Carolina. Tannehill out to the right side, and Asim Penny makes it to first down yardage.
Great job by Tannehill. Sitting in there, he got the protection from Dye, Dinkins, Farrell, Rivens, and Lucci had time to throw the ball, and he fires it to the outside to Asim. Not his primary target. It's the same play that Florida runs. As you can see, those South Carolina receivers are too close together, but excellent effort by Asim Penny to pick up a very important first down.
Tannehill at the 36, scrambling, and he is wrapped up by Carlton Miles. Miles with his first solo sack of the year.
That's as much time as you can buy. It's not there. Try to get it out of bounds. I know it's a whole lot easier doing it from up here, but you just don't want to take a negative play at this particular point in time. If you have to throw it out of bounds, let it go.
8th tackle by Miles today. Tannehill with time. He goes up top, far sideline, and beyond the reach of everybody. Toby Cates was his intended receiver. Del Spear with some help. Good coverage.
Tannehill has done an exceptional job for South Carolina over these last 4 games. He's very demonstrative with his emotions, and that's exactly what they needed. And here's what he's got to do is just calm himself down. And he's thrown some fantastic 3rd down passes. They've completed almost 50% of their 3rd downs, or converted almost 50% of the 3rd down, excuse me.
3rd and 16. Has to go with a short route, and up the far sideline and cutting inside for another first down. That's Mike Reddick, the redshirt freshman. He's a Florida boy out of Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. We saw him score against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago, and that's the first time we've heard from him today.
Again, great protection. You see DeBoer in there sticking his head into somebody to keep him out of there. He just finds a seam right down the sidelines. And again, great effort.
Carlton Miles fell down trying to get outside with Mike Reddick, and that enabled South Carolina to have room to work with. Tannehill will dump it ahead to Rob DeBoer. He'll break a tackle. He's got a first down.
Ben Hanks hopes he doesn't see Rob DeBoer again for a long time. Great effort.
Steve Spurrier thinking, I used to make plays like that when I was a freshman quarterback. Tannehill had no reason to want to run that ball. He said, here, DeBoer, you take it, buddy.
Would you say that Tannehill is a threat not to run, right?
Well, he's run it this year 32 times for minus 62 yards. First down at the 27. DeBoer, seemingly stopped in the backfield by Carlton Miles, managed to escape and turn negative yardage into a little something anyway.
Omaha, Nebraska. That's where Rob DeBoer is from, and he's just a punishing runner. He just keeps after it and keeps after it and keeps after it. And they're doing a job of getting him a crack up front, but he is hurting some people on defense.
8 minutes and 45 seconds to go. He turned that seeming loss into a yard gain at 2nd and 9. Tannehill up top, right side, intercepted in the end zone. Larry Kennedy. Ball was overthrown. Toby Cates couldn't reach it. Larry Kennedy could. He didn't intercept a pass until last week against Southern Miss, and now he's got another one.
It's a great play by Larry Kennedy. Fantastic play. He's working man-to-man over there. He's got a zone drop, but he's hanging outside, Toby Cates knew he didn't have it to the corner. He turned around. Tannehill expected him to keep running toward the corner and lofted it out there. Fine play.
Gators now at their own 20. A scoring drive here should put it away. And one of the few times this year, Kelvin Randolph gets to carry the ball. Randolph into the game with 1 carry for 1 yard 9 weeks ago against Kentucky.
And have been real active in their offensive game plan, except to knock people out of the way.
There's the redshirt freshman quarterback, Danny Warfel. He's out of Fort Walton Beach, an All-American last year. That's how Spurrier gets his young quarterbacks into it, sending in plays.
And there's Terry Dean, number 12. He's the backup right now.
Draw play on 2nd and 6. Eric Brett stopped. Good contact initially by David Turnipseed, and then Eric Brown, the second man to get there. Brown will get a share of his 9th tackle of the day.
Both of these coaching staffs have done a great job over the season. Florida had a lot of disappointment early on. They got hammered by Tennessee and couldn't get anything going in Starkville, Mississippi, but they kept their feet on the ground and kind of worked their way back. The beginning of South Carolina's season, of course, was disastrous. They have really rebounded.
3rd down and 7. Brown was showing blitz. Here he comes. Matthews dumps it out of bounds to the near side. So the Carolina defense holds the Gators.
See Dwayne Dixon, the receiver coach on the sideline with the headset there. Right behind Spurrier. He's done a great job with these kids, bringing them out. He played for Tampa Bay and Washington and Detroit. He just tried to catch that ball on the sideline. Only one that had a shot at that one. Matthews did a good job of getting rid of it, not taking the loss.
Terrell Harris waiting for the kick of Shane Edge, and the Gamecocks should come out of this with good field position. Carolina going for the block, and they run into the kicker. Ball caught at the 37, but that doesn't matter. Shane Edge was hammered down by a couple of Gamecocks. Cedric Surratt may have been the first one to get there.
It's always dangerous. Whenever you put the kick block on, you always run this risk, and that's who it was, Cedric Surratt.
Rocky Clay was right behind him. Florida will get it stepped off and the football back for a first down.
Personal foul against the defense, running into the kicker, 15 yards plus an automatic first down.
They try to get it right up the chute. Thought he had it, goes up in the air and runs into the kicker. You got to roll the dice sometimes. You got to try to make a play. That time it backfired on the Gamecocks. Good efforts, but first down Florida.
That by far the biggest penalty of the day. Brett the carrier, and wrapping him up was Benji Young. Young's a true freshman from Rock Hill, South Carolina, who backs up Hank Campbell. Nittany Lions have tied up the Irish. Good tough ball game. Miami expected to hammer Temple. #1 ranked Hurricanes are.
You know, one of the most impressive cornerbacks I've seen this year is Frank Adams. Man for man, he does as good a job as anybody in this league. And that time he just threw Trey Everett to the ground, and they had to carry Everett off, who was trying to block him.
On 2nd and 6, Rhett has the pitch. He has the first down. There is a flag on the play back at the 42-yard line, causing Steve Spurrier to slam his cap down to the turf.
Well, that was Harrison Houston holding Frank Adams. That's what that flag is for.
Just a real quick footnote on that Miami of Florida team we mentioned a moment ago.
Holding by the offense on the run, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still 2nd down.
Hurricanes will go 9-0 and play at Syracuse next week.
We just talked about Frank Adams getting rid of the blocker. Well, Harrison Houston figured it out. They may let linemen do that, Harrison, but they're not going to let you do that. There's Frank Adams. Great leader for this South Carolina defense, a junior.
On his 22nd birthday last Saturday, a 91-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, 12 tackles, a late interception. He was nominated for Defensive Player of the Week. There's a little shovel pass. Rhett has it. And he breaks it out to the 43-yard line. That'll get about 10 yards of it back on a 2nd and 16 play.
Coming with the draw. A little shovel. A little underhanded flip job. Golden out in front. There's David Bybee. It's his twin girl's birthday today. He's a secondary coach. Ashley and Allison, they're having their birthday party right now. Your dad's doing a good job, girls.
3rd down and 5. Matthews with a deep drop and a long pass that is way beyond the reach of Harrison Houston. Ron Neely, who backs up Rocky Clay on the coverage. There's a flag laying back at the 34-yard line, and it'll signal holding against the Gators.
It's good to show the coaches on the sideline every once in a while so the kids see what their dad looks like. I don't know of a group of guys that work harder in America than these college coaches. If they're not coaching kids, they're going out and getting more.
Well, from covering football and basketball, Tim, I'd have to agree with you. I don't think anybody works harder than assistant coaches on football teams in major college or basketball. Speaking of hoops, they've got a good budding program again here at Florida with Lon Kruger leading the way. They're excited about Gator hoops coming up as well. Gamecocks will get the ball back, 4th and 5 with 5:15 to go. And a good-looking kick by Shane Edge. And a fair catch, Terrell Harris, at the Gamecock 20-yard line. So with 5:06 to go and the Gators on top, 14-3, that 37-yard kick will send us to a timeout. 5:06 to go. South Carolina has hung tough today. This time they have to score. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley, Bob Kessling from Florida Field. Tannehill gets away from one man, up the middle, and it is caught. Hanging in the air, Terrell Harris.
I think he dropped it when he hit the ground.
Looked like on his way down, he could not hold on. Would have been a dandy catch, and that would have put them up beyond the 35-yard line.
Another fine job by Tannehill. Keeps looking downfield, trying to make a play. David Barnard chases him out of there. He sees Terrell Harris coming across the middle. Harris actually makes the catch, but can't hold on to the football.
Has to step up, does Tannehill. 2nd and 10, goes right back to the same man. Terrell Harris was beyond the first down marker, but he had to come back to get the ball. They'll be faced with 3rd and 1.
Harris working against Larry Kennedy. Ben Hanks drops underneath, helping Kennedy on the inside. Nice concentration by Harris. Makes the catch.
Tannehill on 3rd and 1 was looking for Brandon Bennett. The way they ran that play looked like they were going for about 3rd and 6. Tannehill just over 50% today. He's had one in the end zone picked off. And now they'll call a timeout. With 4:29 to go, they have no choice but to go for it. They've got to keep the football and get into the end zone. South Carolina down by 11. 4:29 to go. South Carolina has 2 timeouts left after spending this one. They've got to get into the end zone, get the ball back, and score again. This is a 4th down and 1. And the give is to Rob DeBoer. He was stripped of the ball as he reached first down yardage, but he may have already been down. Gamecocks got the first down, evidently.
DeBoer blasts into the line. You see Dinkin and Farrell, Carlton Miles. It's underneath, and he finally
trapped it with his knees. Tannehill on first down. Ahead to DeBoer. Gators cover it well. Miles finishes off the play after Ben Hanks got there first.
Tannehill, just a young quarterback. This guy is tough. Did you see the ball? Well, you're not going to see it because they're on the line of scrimmage. You can't show your replay. That as he develops, you know, he'll get a little quicker wrist.
2nd and 4. Tannehill ahead to DeBoer. He is fighting and has the first down. How about that? That'll show up as about a 4-yard gain, maybe 5, but that's as good as effort as you'll ever see.
And then once again, it's Ben Hanks. You know, who was that masked man? You know, I mean, Ben is having an afternoon like he hasn't had in a long time. Got tire tracks on his chest from DeBoer.
Bob says, I'm exhausted. Just give me one play. First down. Tannehill has a man across the middle, and he just couldn't get it to Terrell Harris. That could have been big.
Yeah, and I think he had it to Terrell Harris. Terrell Harris just couldn't find the handle on it. Good job by Tannehill. He seems to get partially flushed, always looking downfield, and the farther he's got to throw it, it seems like the better it looks. Zoom downfield it goes as Ellis Johnson takes him to the ground. Terrell almost gets there.
2nd down and 10. Tannehill will go long up the far sideline, and it's beyond the reach of Stacy Robinson. Robinson had a step on his man, Larry Kennedy, but it was a couple of yards too far. Clock will stop again with 3:28 to go, and South Carolina facing a 3rd and 10. Tannehill, nice recovery from last week when he was only 7 of 20, 55 yards against Louisiana Tech, but he did have a few dropped, as Tim mentioned earlier.
And you're playing the #2 defense in the nation. I mean, these guys can play.
On 3rd and 10, Tannehill dumps it off to Wilburn. He will break a tackle and get to the Florida 49-yard line, a gain of 8, and that'll set up a 4th and 2. Florida missing a lot of tackles here lately. Ellis Johnson, one of the men who missed Wilburn. Of course, it's easy to do that. We mentioned earlier he was a South Carolina 100-meter champ in high school. 4th and 2. They have to convert again. Tannehill, little loft, and that one is Mike Riddick outside, and he's got the first down. Riddick all the way down to the 32-yard line, and Steve Tannehill may not always look pretty doing his job, but he keeps converting and keeps moving the football in this drive. They are playing for the future here right now. They feel like they have a chance to win this game. But, Tim, what's happening out there today and in this 5-game stretch is really going to mature this football team for next year.
Oh, yeah. Great route by Riddick. He got it pushed off. Miles got away from it. Got away with it.
Tannehill has a man. And it is down touchdown in the corner, out of bounds, inside the 1, Terrell Harris. He went right for the pylon, and Tannehill put it right to him. Tannehill looks mad it wasn't a touchdown. It'll be 1st and goal inside the 1.
Does he think it was a touchdown?
He better get back out there. They are not in the end zone.
I know what's going on. Blake Williamson's in there. Yeah, the short yardage and goal line quarterback.
Yep, they called that their attack offense. 1st and goal with 3:07 to go. Bennett up and in. Brandon Bennett with his 5th running touchdown of the year. And South Carolina on big plays with 3:04 to go gets into the end zone. It's now 14-9.
Well, Florida hasn't had many cakewalks actually this year. They haven't had any. They beat LSU, but LSU had 4 plays from the 17. Their Florida's 17-yard line at the end of the game. It was close. They scored late to beat Southern Miss last week. South Carolina going for 2.
Tannehill rifles it out there, but it's off the hands of Don Chaney. Now, that's not that big of a deal. A 2-point conversion would have put them within a field goal of tying the game. If they have a victory in mind, they would need another touchdown anyway. So they trail by 5 with 3:04 to go.
Tannehill pumped to the left, then looked back to the right. Chaney's working his way back toward the ball. Tried to stick it in there, reducing the amount of time that Larry Kennedy would have to react, but Chaney just couldn't hang on.
Looked like Steve Tannehill might have bit his tongue. He's bleeding over there. Then we have a possible onside attempt coming up.
In LSU, in that LSU game, if I recall correctly, LSU successfully attempted an onside kick. Got the ball back.
We saw Arkansas do it at Tennessee. Remember what we told you just about 3 hours ago. When a team is heavily favored in an SEC conference game, don't get caught up in it, because this league is too tough. South Carolina, a school and a football team looking just about dead 5 weeks ago, has won 4 in a row, and they're playing one of the top dogs in the conference as tough as possible on the road. Marty Simpson is the man on the onside attempt, and it takes a perfect bounce right to Monty Grove. That's as good a bounce as you can ever hope for, and the Gators will have the football with 3:01 to go. Reset the situation for you here with 3:01 to go, and Florida leading by 5. Each team has used 1 timeout. Florida won in the 3rd quarter. South Carolina won on that last drive. So each team has a couple of timeouts remaining. Matthews and company, good field position inside the Carolina 40. Eric Rett, and good defense by the Gamecocks. Green is there from the secondary. Also, Hank Campbell, number 90, showed up as well. Lawrence Mitchell.
Well, Lawrence Mitchell's going to be a good one. As you mentioned, he's been pressed into a starting assignment due to the injuries to Franklin and Chris Rump. But he's a sophomore. Last year he hurt his knee against Duke, but he's got exceptional ability. He's going to be a good one for South Carolina.
South Carolina has called this timeout with 2:51 to go. Well, when Steve Spurrier is the king of this program, they're unbeaten when they hold down the opponent's rushing. When they get good rushing, 12 of those, by the way, were done by Eric Rett, 12 of those 13. and then 11-0 when they pass for a bunch and they rush for good yardage as well. A lot of those numbers go hand in hand.
If you win a lot of games, you can find a lot of correlations, right?
Yep.
When you got 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense.
2nd down and 8. Matthews will rifle it out, and there's a receiver thinking about his run before he had control.
There goes the Spurrier hat again.
Yeah, Willie Jackson.
You could see on the sideline that Steve pointed to him. Of course, you'd like to be able to run it out, you know, not risk the ball going in the air. But he pointed to him like, okay, we're going to come to you, Willie. And, of course, Willie that's a good guy to go to if you got to go to somebody with 51 catches last year, 40 this year.
2:47 to go, and this is a big play coming up for Florida. If they don't convert, they're not really in field goal range. The way they've struggled with their kicking game, they would have to punt it away. And now Shane Matthews will call a timeout. Florida will use its 2nd.
Oftentimes when you line up with 4 wide receivers, you're able to see something. If the defense is going to favor one side of the field, you know, the weak safety will be to the wide side. If they're not, he'll be straight up. And so Matthews, of course, after 3 years of being tutored by that man right there, it's hard to surprise him, pre-snap anyway. But he saw something that he didn't like, and this is obviously, at this point, the most important play of the game.
Again, just to reset the SEC East for you, Georgia actually is in the lead. They're 5-2. They play at Auburn today, but Florida beat them in Jacksonville. Back on the 31st, and Florida, if they win here and win next week, would tie Georgia, but go to the SEC championship game because they won the head-to-head meeting. Now Tennessee, of course, beat Florida and Georgia. They would go if somehow they could survive these last couple of weeks.
5 wide receivers in the game for Florida.
3rd down and 8, and the Gamecocks were across the line of scrimmage. Were they drawn off? This could make it a 3rd and 3.
Before the ball was snapped, it was contact by the defense. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
He almost signaled procedure, didn't he? But then he said offside. That'll move it up 5 and make it a 3rd down and 3. Now it's a long 3. Tennessee now up by 10 at the Liberty Bowl.
And that's experience and that's finesse. You know, and that's maturity, trying to get him to jump, trying to get an edge.
They'll actually call it 3rd and 4. Draw play, Rhett, and he is short. He needed to get beyond the 30-yard line, and he didn't quite reach the 30. Troy Duke, the senior who backs up at left end on the tackle. Would Spurrier go for it here?
I think he's going to go for it, yeah. He doesn't want South Carolina to get the ball again.
South Carolina has called its final timeout.
I think that's apparent at this point, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And so he has been thinking 4 downs ever since he crossed the 40.
Well, you have to say he's a head coach that doesn't have the utmost confidence in his kicking game right now anyway. It's not like he's going to go ahead and stroke the 3 and go up by 8.
And he knows that his defense isn't having its hottest afternoon of the year. So there's one way to put it away: keep the ball from the other team.
Well, if you have a 2-time SEC Player of the Year running your offense, you got to be confident you can get 1 yard when you need it.
Right.
And if they get the first down, this game might be all but over because South Carolina could not stop the clock anymore.
And you can bet that this ball is going to be snapped on the first sound. I'm sure he's going to try to get that working for him again. South Carolina on defense has put up a courageous effort.
4th down and 1 at the 31. Houston motioning. The give is to Rhett. He was stopped, but then tumbled ahead. Frank Adams, the left corner, was the first man to get there. He bounced right off of him, and then Frank Campbell, or rather Hank Campbell, made the stop. And that might just about do it as the Gators get the first down. It was Campbell on the first hit.
Campbell makes first contact, although he didn't really have his feet under him because Kelvin Randolph had gotten a piece of him. Good hustle, and somebody else had to be there to finish it off. Didn't happen. Now with 2:17-16 left, Florida has a first down. South Carolina with no timeouts.
Matthews for Rhett, and he was bear hugged by Eric Brown. You have to go all the way back to the 1989 season opener to find the last time Florida lost at home to a non-state of Florida team. That, of course, was Ole Miss, 24-19 to open that 89 season. And South Carolina certainly gave it a battle today. Second down and 7 coming up with 1:40 and running. Rhett, and he was hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Cedric Bembry. Steve Tannehill predicted 6 consecutive wins when he took over. He got 4 of them, but it doesn't look like one today. They'll close the season against their arch rivals, the Clemson Tigers, next Saturday at Clemson.
Well, Tannehill did his job, and it was just a matter of a couple of plays. If Florida is going to come at you, they're going to come at you. They're dropping bombs all the time. And Tannehill did his part this afternoon, played very well.
Draw play to Rhett on 3rd and 7. That'll get the ball to the near hash, 25-yard line. 40 seconds to go.
I'd like to thank John Humanick, the SID here at Florida. He always provides us with a plethora of information to go over.
Yeah, I always
Kerry Tharp.
I always kid John. I always kid John that I had to make a choice between my Garmin bag and a Gator media guide. And I chose to leave my Garmin bag at home. The airline wouldn't let me bring both of them on. They really have unlimited resources here at Florida to promote their football team, and they do a great job. Delay of game with 9 seconds to go on a 4th and 6 coming up. One more play, but Carolina really won't have time to get the ball back or do anything with it.
Well, if they were looking for improvement, they certainly have seen improvement in Sparky Woods' South Carolina Gamecock football team. This doesn't look anything like the team we saw against Kentucky at the midway point in the season. They'd accumulated 5 losses, and that coaching staff has done an excellent job of bringing this team back together. And you also have to credit a lot of the senior leaders of this football team, because they looked like they were playing for the national championship here today.
Matthews will take the sack at the 37-yard line. Clock will stop momentarily as they change over with 3 seconds to go. Will they even have time to get a play off? Gators very slow in leaving the field. They need a super quick snap here. The clock gets started right now. 3. Okay, they got the clock started, and Tannehill throws it. It is complete. They try the pitch. Ball is loose at midfield, and Florida wins it 14-9. Will White was the man on the receiving end of that play. Sparky Woods Gamecocks really fought hard today. They were inches away from a halfback pass for a touchdown in the first quarter that would have put them up 10-0. That play, just off the fingertips of Don Chaney, might have been the difference in this ball game had it gone their way.
Steve Spurrier, twice Coach of the Year of the ACC, twice 2 for 2 Coach of the Year in the SEC. He and his staff have done a wonderful job teaching these young players, and they're just getting ready now, thinking about Vanderbilt next week, and then they can be successful there. Alabama, if they continue to win in Birmingham.
Willie Jackson and the Florida band celebrating a 14-9 win. The stage is set for the Gators with a win at Vandy next week. They could be the SEC Eastern Division champions.
The SEC Game of the Week was brought to you by Lowe's, helping add value to your home. By Buick and your Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the Nationwide agent nearest you.
Well, it's all over at Florida Field. A very hard-fought, good defensive game on both sides today. And Florida, with the alma mater ringing in the background, they lead it and win it by a score of 14-9. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley back upstairs. And Tim, a very good effort by both teams defensively today. The offensive skill of Florida for a 5-minute period was all they needed.
You just cannot keep these guys down for 4 quarters. They're going to break loose on you. Some water's going to leak out of the pail eventually, and that happened in the 3rd quarter.
Defensively, South Carolina played really Florida toe for toe and down for down this afternoon. And I think the Gamecocks, even though they didn't get the win, they can take a lot out of this game today.
Oh, I don't think so. I agree with you. You know, I mean, I hate to learn from losing. I just do not learn from losing, but they certainly showed a lot of character and a lot of persistence and hung in there.
All right, let's get downstairs. Bob Kessling with some post-game thoughts from players and coaches.
Steve Spurrier's with it, head coach of the Gators. Tough game today for you.
Well, somebody upstairs is looking out for us. That's all I can say. South Carolina outplayed us, but they only got 9 points, and our defense gave up every 3rd down, but not all of them. And offensively, I guess we made 2 little drives and got 14 points. We're very fortunate.
You know, we mentioned during the telecast today, you coming into the game very good on 3rd down conversions, but South Carolina stopped you today.
They had a good plan. They played like a lot of people do. Their rush was excellent, and we didn't execute very well today, but fortunately we did hit some there in the 3rd quarter and right at the start of the 4th here, and somehow or another we got more points. I don't know how.
Shane Matthews came out and finally got things cranked up. What did you do differently in the 2nd half?
No, we didn't do much differently. We, I guess, got in our 2-back set a little bit, but we hit that little hand-back pass, and instead of throwing it deep, we threw it down the middle this week. So we hit that and got us out of a hump, and then we luckily got an interference call down there and able to dive it in from about a 1/2 foot out.
Something to say about your seniors, though, today.
Oh, these guys won all 18 of the ones that have been here for 3 years, so they deserve a lot of credit. This was a victory. It was not a real pretty one. We used to score a bunch of points here. Now we're just trying to get a little bit more than the other guys.
But it's a W. Congratulations,
right.
Coach.
Very fortunate. Look forward to trying to play better against Vandy next week.
We'll see you next week there. Let's go. Shane Matthews, the Gator quarterback, is with us. Shane, nice going today. Congratulations on the win.
Well, it was a big win for us. We didn't play nearly the way we're capable of playing, but, you know, we did find a way to win, and that's what's important.
Talk about the 2nd half. What was different for you in the 2nd half?
Well, we put some points on the board. You know, they played basically the same way. We just sputtered around all the time in the 1st half, missed a lot of key 3rd down conversions, and you know, we just, you know, made up our mind that we're going to have to put some points on the board to win, and you know, our defense played outstanding today.
It's been really tough the last 2 weeks getting points.
It is. You know, I don't know what it is. We're just sputtering around a little bit, but you know, we're putting enough points on the board to win, and hopefully we can score a lot more next week.
You know, you talk about next week. Now you know you're 1 victory away from wrapping up the SEC East.
That's right. You know, that was our goal at the beginning of the year, is to win the Eastern Division, and it's Vandy's, you know, in our way now, and hopefully we can go down up to Nashville and play an excellent game and come out with a victory.
Congratulations, Shane. Nice game today.
Thank you.
Shane Matthews, the Florida quarterback. Here's Aubrey Hill, one of the touchdown scorers. Aubrey, nice going.
All right, thanks a lot. Pretty much on that play, South Carolina messed up the coverage somehow, and I was pretty much wide open. But Coach Spurrier all year has been calling the great plays in key situations. He just said we pretty much had to put about 2 touchdowns in and save the game for us.
Yeah, what was South Carolina doing? Were they mixing coverages on you? How come you guys couldn't get things going in the 1st half?
Well, they were moving their defense around, playing a lot of coverages, and it was giving us a problem in the 1st half. But pretty much 2nd half, we just came out and tried to put points on the board like we did.
Talk about the momentum now, this team. I mean, you're not winning big, you're not winning real pretty at times, but you're still winning.
Yeah, it's always it's just a win in the column, and Coach Spurrier always tells us a win is better than anything. So we're just looking forward to going up, playing Vanderbilt next week and playing the best games possible.
Nice getting the end zone, isn't it?
All right, yeah, thanks.
Okay, Aubrey Hill got a touchdown today. Defensively, Florida, of course, played very well. Carl Miles with us. Carl, time about the defensive efforts. And what did Tannehill do to make things tough on you?
He was tough. He's real mobile in the pocket. He did a good job picking up receivers and making audibles. You know, their offensive line was very big, very aggressive. We bent a lot, but we didn't quite break fully. So, you know, it's an ugly win, but it's a win.
They came right at you early, didn't they? Just running the ball.
Yeah, they came out and had some success. So, you know, whenever a team comes out and run the ball, you know, something's wrong. So we had to do a little adjusting and little game adjustments over on the sideline. We didn't quite shut the run down, but we did a pretty good job of, you know, stopping them when they were in close.
You knew coming in, though, Tannehill was a dangerous hombre, didn't you?
Yeah, we knew he was real dangerous. He's, you know, he's got a lot of confidence going, and he's playing very well. So he's going to be a great star.
You guys had a mission, though, to finish up as a senior undefeated here under Coach Spurrier.
Yeah, you know, we've had some good years here in the last couple years, 2-3 years. So we wanted to keep it going. We haven't lost a game here as seniors, so it feels real good to go out on a positive note.
Now you got to go on the road and win some big games, don't you?
Yeah, going to Nashville, that's going to be a tough game, and FSU after that one. So we're just going to take it one game at a time and hope we can go up to Nashville and be successful.
Well, you did well today, Carlton. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Carlton Miles of the Florida Gators. The Gators win today. Tough one, though, over the South Carolina Gamecocks. That breaks South Carolina's winning streak, and the Gators roll on.
All right, Bob, thank you. South Carolina still has a lot they can take out of this season, and they've got a big one against Clemson next week. They win that, they probably consider their season a success.
I don't think there's any question about it. And, you know, they can compete with anybody if they play with the same intensity that they played with this afternoon.
That'll be the best feeling 5 and 6 in the country. Let's have a look at our players of the game, our Jefferson Pilot players of the game, as we honor Ernest Dixon of South Carolina. 6 tackles. He had a sack. He was in on a lot of big plays down there today. And Carlton Miles, whom Bob Kessling just spoke with, 15 tackles and a sack. He is really playing well and has another one of those double-digit tackle games. As part of our Players of the Game Award Scholarship Program, Jefferson Pilot Sports will donate $2,000 to the Southeastern Conference to be distributed among its member institutions. Gators win it today over the Gamecocks 14-9, and we're back with more after these words from your local stations. Florida Gators hold on and beat the Gamecocks of South Carolina 14-9 today. Florida moves out to 7-2 and 5-2 in the SEC. They came into this game, Tim Foley, a 6-2 football team, outscoring their opponents by a gigantic 2 points per game. They squeaked by 5. These guys have to be driving Steve Spurrier crazy.
As Spurrier said it after the game was over, he says, you know, we used to score a lot of points here, but right now we're just fortunate to win. A lot of inexperience, a lot of youth, and people are starting to get a little bit of a handle on how to defense this fun and gun.
We do have a little bit of bad news. Myrick Anderson, who left the game in the first half, did break his ankle today, and that will cost the Gators some depth behind Ben Hanks at bandit back position.
Yes, they will. Then they've already lost a couple of linebackers that they've moved to defensive end, Johnny Church and Kevin Carter, who is starting now. So defensively, Florida is very thin. They lost a lot of linemen early in the year, and so as soon as someone gets hurt, the level of play and level of confidence of play, it takes a serious dip.
Well, let's have a look at our scoring summary for today. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. A first quarter's Marty Simpson field goal made it 3-0 for the Gamecocks at 7:44. Gators missed a short field goal after they had first and goal at the 9 starting the second quarter. No more scoring until the third when Shane Matthews plunged in from 1 yard out. That capped an 8-play, 75-yard, 3-minute drive and put Florida on top by a score of 7-3. And then into the fourth quarter, the most exciting play of the game was an Aubrey Hill 36-yard touchdown reception right up the middle from Shane Matthews. It came only 3 minutes and 19 seconds in, 8 plays, 89 yards, and only 227. That was the quick strike capability of Florida we'd been looking for all day long. They led 14-3. But the Gamecocks kept fighting back, and finally, Brandon Bennett on a 1-yard run at 3:07 to go made it 14-9. They went for 2 and missed it, got the ball back one more time for a Hail Mary play, and they did a little hitch and pitch there at the end, but that was about it as they came up short. Final stats, South Carolina 4 times as many first downs in a loss today as they had in a win last week. They passed the ball pretty well, and they stayed right with Shane Matthews in passing and total yardage.
Yeah, I think they have to be happy with their offensive output. I did not expect them to be able to move the ball that effectively, but they've got a fine offensive line, and Rob DeBoer was just exceptional carrying the football this afternoon.
And, of course, the one South Carolina turnover was an interception into the end zone that stalled one of their drives in the second half. Florida was not really hurt by turnovers today. Now, what are your thoughts on that game at Vanderbilt next week? Because Vandy's a team that can keep the ball on the ground, eat a lot of clock, especially at home. Florida has not been good on turf, and all those elements work against the Gators in Nashville.
Exactly. As good as Steve Spurrier's record is in Florida, he is 1-4 on turf. And they haven't won at Vandy since 1966. Vanderbilt does have the kind of offense that eats a lot of clock. They can break some big plays on you, but they can keep the ball out of Florida's hands, and that's the most important thing.
And it's not as north as Lexington, but maybe a little bad weather next week will be in the offing, and that could help out as well from the Commodore standpoint.
Yeah, and you can bet that Jerry DiNardo is going to have those guys ready to play. They're going to be up and ready to rock and roll, and Florida better be ready for a physical contest next week.
Well, we'll be ready for some final thoughts on this one when we come back. Florida holds on to fight off South Carolina. We're back with more in a moment.
Jerry DiNardo's Vanderbilt Commodores stand in the way of Florida's claim to the SEC East title and a berth in the SEC championship game. But Vandy is capable of pulling off the big upset, just like the 20-7 win against Kentucky just 2 weeks ago. This Saturday, two-time SEC Player of the Year Shane Matthews leads the Gators into Nashville. Florida's quick strike attack can put points on the board in a hurry and will test Vandy's defense this Saturday.
That Florida-Vandy game next Saturday could now be the clincher for the Gators as they go to 5-2. They're tied with Georgia for the moment, but they've got the tiebreaker. They won the head-to-head game in Jacksonville. And as we said 3.5 hours ago, Tim, it's all in the Gators' hands right now to win next week and go on to play probably Alabama in that SEC title game.
And I think that all the players made the correct comment in the sense that this was not pretty, this was not exciting, this was not showcase material, but it goes under the W, and that's the important part.
That's all anybody will remember. That's Tim Foley. I'm Bob Carpenter, and for Bob Kessling, we say so long from Gainesville, Florida, where, once again, the final score was the Gators 14 and the Gamecocks of South Carolina 9. The executive producer of Jefferson Pilot Sports is Jimmy Rayburn, coordinating producer Wendy Voigt. Today's game produced by Tom Hewitt and directed by Dave Burchett. I'd like to thank the rest of our JP Sports crew who brought you the sounds and the sights of the Gators and the Gamecocks here at Florida Field in Gainesville today, and they'll do the same from Nashville next week when Florida takes on the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Hope you can join us for that one. We're on the air at 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. The SEC Eastern Division title in the grasp of the Gators at Vandy next week. Jefferson Pilot Sports personnel outfitted by Champion Products. And you've been watching Jefferson Pilot Sports exclusive coverage of Southeastern Conference football.